Ladies and gentlemen, the best zombie Friday night entertainment you can find anywhere on YouTube, right here on the RSG channel. It is Boys Night here on The Bunker, with myself, Finity, replacing McVenom because I have replaced McVenom. That's pretty much it. I have replaced McVenom today. We just straight up replaced her today. She's gonna come back angry at some point and just yell at me, which is the right thing to do, and I typically deserve it. And we are here to talk about State of Survival. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the game. We're gonna talk about alliance management as well, but before we jump into that, let's go ahead and introduce our panel for today. So, up at the top, the face that you're familiar with. He's one of the OG bunkers. It is Mr. Delete.
Yo, what's going on, everybody?
And a new face, a cowboy face, a bearded face. He is one of the OG reality skewed gamers. You may not have seen him before. He doesn't really play State of Survival, but he has a lot of stuff to talk about with regard to today's subject. So, being the subject matter expert that he is Mr. Grande Patron.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Finity, glad to see you as always. Delete, how's it going?
Not bad, man. Not bad.
People at home, we are glad you're here and we're glad you're watching. Let's get into it.
All right. So we are here to talk about, of course, State of Survival, which is a zombie mobile game. And you see me playing it down below here. So I'm going to try and keep some gameplay for you guys here so you guys can see that as well. And we are going to talk about a lot of things here, but I'm actually going to turn it over to Delete a little bit here because before we jump into the topic of alliance management, there's some new stuff in the game that a lot of the older states are seeing. So as a quick introduction, Delete is in state 125. I am in state 359. So I am in one of the newer states, and of course Delete's in one of the older states. And they have released some stuff in the older states that I imagine eventually will roll down to the newer states when we're ready, as I think our state just recently unlocked Plasma 5 buildings. So obviously you can tell kind of the time difference there between all of the states. But there are some new buildings that are coming. So Delete, I'll let you talk a little bit about the new stuff that's currently in the new states.
Yeah, so in state 125, today at reset, the new plasma weapon building was released and introduced into the game. And it came with a statewide task. And they call it the New Technology Blueprint event. And it kind of boils down to you have to complete 70,000 or get 70,000 points, or in this case, computer chips, in order to unlock the blueprint, which you can gain those by farming and killing infected fiends. So I've actually, while I was playing, one of our friends kind of gave me a little tip. You don't necessarily have to complete or get or win the rally against an infected fiend to get the computer chips. So that is probably something that is going to go away. So take advantage of it while you can, because that probably will disappear after reset now that we just gave it away here. But for now, go ahead and just drop one troop rallies, not complete them, and you can go ahead and get the rewards that way. And the interesting thing is, so this opened about 3 hours ago after reset, and you have to get 70,000 of these. So we're on pace. We are already as a state at 6,200, which is pretty big. So, because there is a 4-day or 5-day timer, and we're at 4-day and 21 hours right now. So, completing the event shouldn't be an issue. I would like to know, what would happen if you didn't complete the event? Would you just not get the building and just give yourself a tremendous disadvantage in state for state? Would they allow that to happen? I guess they want to put some sense of urgency in there so you can go ahead and use up some of your backpack, get some of the pieces, like you're not going to go ahead and complete it. But, it would be interesting to see if you were in one of those states that is truly dead, what would happen? Would they allow that to happen? Because then Reservoir League changes, Reservoir Raid changes, Showdown changes. A tremendous amount of the game changes if that really does come into play. So I also want to say now that I'm on a giant diatribe because I miss you guys and I want to get back at it, and drop all my knowledge on you because I was on vacation. I just wanted to say that I'm glad to be back, and this is going to be a rocking show. So I'm glad you guys tuned in.
We are glad to have you back, Delete. And for all of you guys out in chat, go ahead and type something in chat. Show your love to Delete being back here after he was not here last week, of course, on vacation. So go ahead and type something in chat. We'll go ahead and shout you out here. Wanted to get in some quick information for you guys about some of the new stuff in your new states before we get into some of our main discussions here. I will also let Mr. Grande Patron introduce himself a little bit. He did play SOS a little bit. He was telling us about that a little bit earlier. He doesn't play it now, but I'll let him tell his history of SOS. And with our discussion of alliance management, I'll let him give a little bit about his resume, about what makes him a really good, why he knows why I asked him to join for this stream.
I do know why.
So we'll let Grande introduce himself a little bit. And while he's talking, I'll give you guys this too. We are going to run the first code on the screen. So everyone get ready. We'll let Grande introduce himself. We're going to run the first code, and the first code for today. And remember, I'm going to say exactly what McVenom says. If you guys share this anywhere else, McVenom is going to come and kill you, right? It's not me. I have no power. I can't do anything. I'm weak. I mean, it's just not going to happen. But McVenom is going to come and kill you. So do not share this. This is for our viewers specifically. So you guys go ahead and get in your codes here, and the first code is going to be Crazy Faka. Faka. The whole thing starts with a K though.
Did I just...
So the code is Crazy Faka. KRAZYFAKA. So go ahead and get in that code, and Grande, go ahead and introduce yourself, and you know why I asked you to be on.
Yeah. So guild management, or in this case, like state management, and how that kind of works, how you have a clan, whatever, you have a group of folks that are all trying to work together to do something, and how do you manage that group of folks? I did this in another game, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, when their group, which they called guilds, was first announced. We organized and ended up with 17 guilds of 50 people on the first day, and then by the end of the month and a half, we had 40 guilds with 50 people in them. And how do you get people? Each one of these people is kind of an individual, right? You can't really run it like a military, and you can't really run it like an office where these people are in charge and telling these other people what to do, because everyone's not being paid by someone. So how does that work? How do you end up creating different groups of like-minded people working towards a similar goal that can coexist for long periods of time? And I think, as many of you know, if you've played a lot of games like this, it sometimes these things are kind of an ebb and flow. People end up with a common goal for a while, and then something happens, and then that whole group of people do not have the same common goal that they had before. So how does the ebb and flow from and you'll hear this lamented by a lot of officers or people who are in leadership in a group, in a game, and anything else, and they say, why can't we just keep the same 50 people? Why can't we just keep the same 125 people? Why can't we keep the same 30 people? Whatever the group is that's structured by the game or whatever you're doing, why can't we just keep all these people the same all the time? Why are we always having to change and reevaluate what we're doing all the time? And how's that working? And you really got to take a step back and understand it's just part of it. And we've worked, I've worked with that in a lot of different ways, and we can get into that in my real life job. That happens all the time, and a lot of you realize it in real life. How do you convince someone to do something that's in your best interest, but also in their best interest, and not make it sound like you're telling them what to do? Because that's pretty much what you have to do if you're in leadership, or if you're in if you're in a game like this. So that's all I got. Looks like we got another sexy gentleman down there
Yes,
as well.
we do. We have Mr. Ranger J 1999 joining us. How are you doing, Ranger?
I'm a little waiting just to explode here because Grande, are you playing State of Survival?
No,
he's not.
Okay, because I was about to say, if I'm helping you right now, you know why I'm helping you.
I do.
And you're playing another game.
I'm not playing.
I was going to Wolverine claw you to death on the stream right now.
He is not. He's here because I asked him to be on to talk about the topic. So.
But he's going to be serious, right, Finn? He's not here to do the dad jokes or any of
No, he
the.
is. He's here to do the dad jokes and everything
No,
too.
I mean, come on. Let's not do this to the SOS crowd.
Ranger, that's just in my DNA.
I mean,
it's just in my DNA.
That's just cruel.
We are gonna have some funny moments with me. That's just how it rolls.
Grande. I want the dad jokes, so we're all in for the dad jokes here.
Bring it.
I think
delete. No, don't delete. Run.
So I think the other thing too that Grande brought up, and it's an important point, right? Ultimately, this is a game. It is voluntary. We spend money on it, right? Like consumers, but ultimately we play this voluntarily. We play it because we like it. We are spending time streaming and talking about it because we are invested in the game, right? We want to see the game succeed. We want whatever money, time that we put into the game to go well. But ultimately, you have to find some place in the game that matches exactly what you want out of the game. And there's a whole spectrum of players like Grande was talking about, and you have to find like-minded people. Are you going to be on that uber competitive side where you are, for something like State of Survival, if you're an insane person like me, where basically you're logged in almost all day, right? You may not be necessarily doing anything, but you have it open and you're checking your red flashes on the screen in case you're getting attacked. Are you going to be casual, where you're only hopping in a couple of times a day and you're just trying to do like spend your stamina and spend your bread, if you're spending your bread, which a lot of people don't, which makes me sad. But you spend your stamina and you try to do your intels and then you kind of move on, right? So there's a whole spectrum of players, and at different points they evolve. And we've seen some different things come to this game, even in my short time here, and it's relatively short, right? I mean, in an absolute time, I played for about 5 months or something, but the game's only a year old, so I played for a good bit of this game. But we've seen enough things come into this game that we've seen some reasons for transition, right? I think the first one is SVS. I think SVS is something that I have seen in all states, at least talked about, and I've seen it within our state too, is not necessarily a permanent move from like one alliance to another, right? But there's a concept of maybe borrowing in order to consolidate all the strongest. And thank you to Mikey. Mikey is a new member on YouTube. You now have access to our special YouTube emojis. Thank you so much, Mikey, for supporting RSG and The Bunker. And I will shout out all of you guys. Don't worry, I have not forgotten to shout out all of you guys. Just wanted to make sure we got all the conversation laid out first before we jump into the topic in heavy mode here. We got an introduction from Grande, so you know kind of why he's here. But we've seen, at least with SVS, is maybe one of the first things where you kind of see people moving around in alliances in order to kind of create this one consolidated strong alliance in order to push against other states, right? Because you have to dominate. You need multiple alliances in order to push, but you also need a lot of strong people behind some of those guys in order to push in. And so we've seen some moving around of people in SVS. And so we'll talk a little bit more about the different events that have popped up in SVS, different strategies that you guys can use in your alliance in order to help keep people together, find those interests, and even some of the bad stuff, which is how do you weed people out? Sometimes you have to, unfortunately, get rid of people. They're just not a fit, right? And especially if you are a R4 or an R5, like I know Delete is for 125, I am for 359. Grande was in Galaxy of Heroes. He was not, there's no R4 in there, but he was an officer. And for a larger conglomerate of guilds in Galaxy of Heroes, there is a way that you have to manage all of those different people, personalities, events in the game, right? It's not just about stuff in game, it's also stuff about outside. So we're going to talk a lot about that, but first, let's go ahead and shout out everyone in chat like I said I was going to do. We're going to start off with a shout out for Edgar Q, who typed that he had the first comment, which he did, and then also the second comment, which he did.
Well, you know what you win for that? Nothing. You don't get anything.
He wins our first shout out. Congratulations to Edgar Q. You got our first shout out on the stream. Nicely done, Edgar Q.
Landed it.
He did. We got Resto from State 39 here. Welcome, Resto, who typed third. It basically just started a chain, right? Then we had Froggy IP with fourth. We had Dustin with fifth. And then Grande was on screen, and Grim broke it by just yelling out for Grande. And I mean, I can't blame him. I can't blame him. I mean, he's the bearded Gandalf. He's Grande Patron. I mean, you can't help but yell.
Kind of a big deal.
He is kind of a big deal.
Don't mess up his damn nickname, right?
We have Grande then typing in the chat. We have Delete, of course, saying that he is back. Welcome back, Delete, of course.
Is he? Are you really back, Delete?
Oh yeah.
I feel
I
feel like you're just teasing. You call me once and then you show up, but then you don't call me anymore. Anything kind of going on at 3:59. I don't know.
I'm so far back. I'm in the front.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that works.
I love it. And we've gone all the way around, and he's in the front now. I love it.
I didn't tell you, Delete. So in 359, we had a merger, right? Gare Bear was kicked.
Wow.
You missed your chance. His base is somewhere. I don't know where. You missed your chance.
I'm gonna have to find some time to just do some map scrolling. Mm-hmm. Section by section.
Yep.
I know where he is, but I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah,
I'm not going to tell you. I know he is.
We might be able to get, I don't know if he's watching. We may be able to get Irish to help, because Irish is still governor for a few more days, and we'll see what happens with SVS, but Irish may be able to help find Gare Bear for you. I'm just throwing that out there, Delete. Just throwing that out there. We have...
I made him a promise, and I'm going to burn him.
Yes. And we're going to show that Stingray meme as many times as possible. All right. We also have Maz Kanata here. How are you doing, Maz?
Hey, Maz.
We have Dre here. Dre with the hi. Hi to you as well, Dre. Torin Jax is here saying what's up. We have King also saying what's up. Welcome, TJ and King. We have Durgan. Durgan just still, McVenum's not here, and he's still going to make comments. Says, McVenum won't kill you, don't worry, she's too busy to do anything. I mean, this is a special relationship Durgan and McVenum have, and I mean, it's just the way it is.
It's a very abusive, just
it's not abusive. It is very friendly and based around work. We have Mikey here.
No.
Hi, Mikey. And Mikey says, much love from 125 from HOH and Mikey 5000. So there you go.
Fellow 125er. All right.
125er. There you go. You know, technically, Durgan is also a fellow 125er.
But he was booted because of the wood incident of 2020.
No. Poor Durgan.
He got the boo pretty hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He did. Poor Durgan. Durgan. the story that will live on forever in SOS lore. With McVenum telling Durgan, come play. You'll have fun. Just come join 125. You'll join the Alliance. We'll have a lot of fun.
1 week later.
Kick. Poor Durgan. All right, let's see who else we have. We have the lovely Furry here. Titsa Furry. How are you doing, Furry?
Yay. Holy moly.
Who else do we have? Say something in chat, by the way. If you... Furry putting Gare Bear who really...
You know who that is. You know.
Mikey saying RSG rocks. Thank you, Mikey. And I'll just say, if you want to create another alt in 125, you can definitely do so. Our alliance is full, but we do have some
359.
359, yeah. What did I say? 125? Yeah, no. You can make an alt in 125 too. It's a good idea. But yeah, you'll want an alt, especially after SVS for the tickets and all of that. It's a good idea to have an alt in your main state. But outside of that, you can make an alt in 359, and we have some really friendly alliances and stuff that you can join. And if there's space in the RSG, we can bring you in. I mean, there's a lot. Furry saying you can take my spot. No, Furry, we need you to play again. We miss you. Just saying. We miss you, Furry.
I mean, we do. And
I mean,
Fury, I need you to bring me back to 359. Only you can do it.
that's bull
Only you.
because we know that's not true. Delete. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here.
Fury, you go back, I go back.
For how long?
Put
Permanently?
down the gauntlet.
It's not. It's not. I have an idea about what will get Delete to come to 359, and Furry may be part of it, but it's not going to be the entirety of it.
How can we bribe her? What can we bribe her with?
Delete, I need you to bring me back. So how's this going to work? I will bring both of you back. I have like little crackers here.
Yeah, that's not
gonna ate my fruit snacks, so I'll have to get some more fruit snacks from downstairs. But I have fruit snacks. I do have fruit snacks.
Neither of those are really good bargaining.
Furry, I don't want Delete mode. I want both of you equally. That it is the way it is. I want both of you equally. I have told you this. And I want both.
Reuse your words there.
No, I 100% mean exactly the way I said it. I want both of them equally. Yeah, it's just the way it is. Sorry, Delete's a handsome-looking man. I can't just.
Fury is the cheese, and I'm the cracker. So we got to get together to go ahead and go back.
I'll be a cracker that just goes on top and just makes it a sandwich. We'll just all be happy cheese sandwich together. Yeah, there we go.
McVenom said focus, get on top.
He said get on top. It's Linda. You get your ass back on top.
Sorry, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Okay, we're gonna focus again.
Sorry.
The boys, it's not that the boys don't stay focused. Finn never stays focused. There's no way. Finn is unfocused. It's just the way it works. I get distracted by a lot of things, and I've had fruit snacks, and it doesn't work out well. And we also had Apex here. How are you doing, Apex? Glad to have you here. Wait, Dustin saying, wait, Delete, you quit and Furry too. So Delete just doesn't play on 359 primarily. He still plays 125. I can say at least from experience, and I credit all the people that do it. It is difficult to play two accounts, especially if you're trying to be competitive, and maybe more so as a free-to-play. Because like as a free-to-play, I have to spend like all my time spending all my stamina, all my bread, trying to do events and stuff, and trying to do a second account. And Delete, you can talk about this. Like, I imagine it is a huge time sink, and it becomes difficult to manage two accounts competitively, right? You can have one casual, like I have my other one, which is kind of a casual one, and I'm slowly playing it, but it's not nearly as focused as my main. So, I mean, go ahead and talk a little bit about having two accounts, because there is a use to it in alliances as well.
I personally have two accounts, and I do it extremely poorly, only because I'm R5 in my alliance in 125. So I've got to go ahead and deal with, and not deal, but like handle situations that arise throughout the day. Whether it's someone's farming in our area, hey, what's going on with this? Or this one's saying mean things about me, and this one's saying mean things about me. And it's a lot of stuff that's always going on that you have to keep your tabs on, not to mention the day-to-day tasks that you have to complete in order to play your account effectively. Because if you slack off and you don't do things, it'll end up costing you money in this game to catch back up. You know, everything that you don't do correctly will end up costing you in the long run. It'll make you spend, you know, and especially, you know, my account, it's a big account. It's completely maxed, and it still allows me or makes me stay on top of things. Because if I don't and I let it slide by, I lose my edge. Frankly, you lose your edge, and next thing you know, battles that you might win or could win, you may lose because there's no real way to catch up. So it takes time. And not to mention, before stream we were talking about this. I'm a father. I've got 2 kids, and I got a job. And I've got a wife. So those 3 things are kind of my priorities.
I think I said that earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. Those 3 things are totally my priority, and I treat it as such. With that being said, I do find time for the game. I do get my things done, but being as competitive as I am, having 2 accounts and investing the time to do it is extremely hard. And there are people that are like, oh, I've got multiple accounts, but all I do is run my dailies and I send farm down. I'm like, yeah, well, that's great, but it's not enough to really get you anywhere close to the top of the pack in an alliance. So you can do it, yeah, you can play. That's like, that's like going to a movie and not paying attention and expecting to like pass a test on. You just can't do it. So, but that's how I
think
roll.
it also depends on anyone's individual setup, right? I mean, if you're playing on your phone and you're at a job where you don't like sit in an office all day, that might be, or you don't in an office type environment, it might be tough. But if you're the type of person who can have, let's say you go to work and, you can have multiple windows open. So you have your guild communication or your alliance communication windows up, whether that's the Line app or Discord or however you guys communicate. And then you have 2 or 3 versions of an Android emulator up at the same time, to where, when you've got a free 20, 30 seconds, you could just do something. I think that's different than if you're a person who, that's multitasking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Versus, let's say you're a person who's mobile only, and who's always on the go. It's going to be very difficult for that person to run 2 accounts. So I think your physical setup matters a bunch.
Completely.
There's one additional part to that too, right? And I'm gonna talk about something we do in Galaxy of Heroes and how it doesn't work for SOS in all cases. We joke a lot about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which is the other mobile game that we largely play. And in that game, there's a nice benefit in that you can do a lot of things within a single bathroom break, right? It may seem a little bit longer than a bathroom break, but there's a lot of things you can auto and just kind of sim your way through, right? SOS has some things that are alliance set, right? Horde can be alliance set, Trap can be alliance set, right? But there are certain things that are not alliance set, which makes this game very difficult to kind of play in the environment that Grande is talking about, right? And that is a big key of alliance management. So let's talk about some of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
The more common one is the centers, right? Let's talk about centers. So you have these centers that you can take over, you get these boosts. You can maybe coordinate when you're going to attack them, but if you own them and you have to defend them, you send your troops in to defend, but you have to defend for freaking 24 hours, which means that every single person touching that center has a chance to attack you anywhere during that 24 hours. This means you could get an everyone tag in your Discord telling you that the center is being attacked at like 2 a.m. Right?
Yeah.
And
I like to defend the center from other people touching my center. You're right.
So I'll turn it over to Delete here because I'm assuming Delete is still there. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
your camera went off for a second. I just wanted to check. But
defending the center.
As like an R5, right, and kind of being like the main one in 125, how do you try to manage things like centers, for example, where you have to defend, your troops are going to be there, but you know that it can be attacked any different time, right? And dealing with family, dealing with work, it doesn't necessarily lend itself to being able to actually actively defend, replace your troops, right? Counterattack in order to take it over. So what are your strategies on handling those kind of events where you don't really have a control over the time in SOS?
Yeah. I mean, the center, you have to basically depend on Discord, and people going ahead and people having enough people that are on long enough. So there's always someone manning the board. There's always someone out there that can go ahead and tell you when something's going on. Big advantage. And something that I haven't seen in other games is SOS is very big worldwide oriented. Like it's not just like this is a North America server, so everything that happens is going to be on Eastern time zone or anything along those lines. We've got people from Turkey, Germany, all over. So it's you have to be mindful of your Discord app. And you've got to be able to kind of, if you can, have enough people that can kind of log in and be like, okay, hey, my screen's flashing red. Let's go ahead and send the app member alert and get people on. Then the other thing, that's 359 and in 125, and thank God Finn is awesome at that. In 125, it's facilities. Facilities and bunkers are structured in a way that you get to pick 3 times, and they're all really random. And you've got to pick and know which times most of your alliance can be on.
Yeah.
So if everything shifted and you get picked, you can pick the 3, and it won't necessarily be the 3 that you pick. You have to have a deep enough alliance that everyone can be on, or else you're probably not going to win that facility, especially if the other alliance you're going against can bring their top player and your top player can't play. It gets extremely difficult. So you have to be mindful of what you have. You kind of have to build your alliance with the 24-hour feeling. There's always got to be a guard up. So that's kind of key. And it's crazy how beneficial that can be, because you'll go to sleep and then you'll wake up and you'll see that, wow, 60, infected 5 fiends went down while I was asleep, and you get reward for that as an alliance. So you can go ahead and pick those things up and notice how much activity is going on there. And I came into law, I wasn't a founding member, but when I came into law, it was very Asian. And it was great because it was like completely different time zone. They can play when I'm not playing. And originally, there was the Capitol event was 24 hours. So it was like, oh man, I can go ahead and take a nap real quick and have, a massive amount of people behind me that can go ahead and just jump in and continue to play and help refill and launch rallies and do things like that. So you have to be cognizant, and you have to make sure that, the people that you bring into your alliance, like Grande was saying, are like-minded and are attentive to their phone. So this way you don't lose sight of what's important.
It's interesting what you mentioned here, which is, as much focus on the communication app as the game itself. And every game is going to manage this a little bit differently, like you said, as far as some guilds or some alliances, some groups, depending on how the game is structured, ending up with everybody in a time zone doing the same thing at the same time, or everybody with similar sleep patterns globally doing the same thing at the same time. And it seems like, in some ways, State of Survival has done a good thing as far as having it where you have people from all over the world being able to join any guild all over the world, because you need somebody to basically keep watch, 24/7. And you need to be able to have it where it's a good mix, where you can take a break when you need to take a break.
It's good and bad, right? And I saw Furry putting in chat that it's key, but you have alliances with members all in one country and they can still manage it, which is true.
Right.
Because we know that even, let's say, using the country that we're from here, is if you have all Americans in an alliance, right? You're going to have some people that work night shift that are going to have like opposite hours, right? You're going to have people that work second shift that are going to have different hours. And so you can still kind of accommodate a lot of the kind of rotation of watching all those different things, right? But I think the key is to try and have, and she makes another good point, which is that if everyone is offline, you just take the loss, right? But then you get the advantage on the attack. Like with centers, you have to defend for 24 hours, but then you also have 24 hours that you can decide whenever you want to attack. And so it becomes your advantage at that point to try and take it over, because you can find a time that you might have more people online, and then you kind of go alternating back and forth with the centers, which isn't a bad thing overall, right? It just makes that defense phase a little bit more difficult, makes attacking a little bit more advantageous, and you can kind of alternate back and forth. But there are also some events where it's timed and your alliance can time it, right? So Grande, we have events in SOS like Trap, and we have events like Horde, where the alliance decides when it's going to launch. You basically have like full control over when it's going to launch. So what are some strategies, because we've had similar things in Sluggo, so what are some strategies that you can use in order to try and get, especially with an international type of alliance, together to try and get these events done?
That's really interesting, right? You try to schedule it some way to where no one feels like they're left out. And I've seen it done, there's 100 different ways to do this. One of them is you could put it on a rotating cycle, right? Where, for example, you launch one instead of, let's say routinely you're able to launch one every 48 hours, but instead of launching it every 48 hours, you launch it every 51 hours, right? So that way it's always rotating. So it's always there. It comes around to where it's their prime available time to be able to do what needs to happen. What's great about that is, everybody gets a shot. What's bad about that is, when it's someone's prime time, it means it's also someone else's I'm asleep. It's 3 a.m. in the morning for them, and they're going to miss out, right? And so, you got to take the good with the bad with a situation like that. It can work great for some groups, right? It really can, especially depending on how long the event is going to take, right? How long launching your little guild event is going to take. Like, if it takes you 10 or 15 minutes, or if it's something where, you can get on and knock it out real quick, then maybe it's not so bad that you wake up, an hour early for work and knock this one out. Or maybe instead of taking your lunch at noon, you take it at 11 every other Wednesday so that you can make that work. So if you're dealing with a group and let's say you have decided to go to some type of a rotating schedule like that, so that everyone can have, you're going to have people that are going to be a little bit bummed out about it. And so you're going to need to explain workarounds to them to see if they can work it in their schedule. Some people can, some people can't, right? Some people want to know, hey, my lunch is Eastern at noon, and I want all my stuff to happen Eastern at noon or Eastern time after 7 p.m., right? And if you're in a large alliance that has lots of groups, you probably want to end up with with one group that does the rotate and one group that does their stuff at two specific times, so that way you can offer something to everyone, and you can offer that to them, so that way they can have either way and not have to switch groups so they could still play sort of with their friends, but maybe not in the same small group, and get it done. And that way you don't lose let's say a larger player who says, well, this just won't work for me, so I'm going to go find another group, right? I'm going to go join another group. But a lot of that goes back to communicating with your people and not telling them what to do, but more as a leader, you want to do more listening, right? Mm-hmm. You want to listen to what they're saying, and you want to have a relationship with the players that you've been playing with for a long time, so that way, if they have a problem, before they go out and find their own solution, they'll come to you if they have a problem, right? To where you get to stop it before they come to you and tell you, hey, look, I'm moving group, I'm switching over here because y'all stuff doesn't work for me. They already said they'd take me. See you later, bye. And all of a sudden you're screwed, because now you got recruiting. Your recruiting is going haywire because they need to fill the holes, right? Mm-hmm. And recruiting, and then not only that, but now you got other members that are upset because the group's not full, right? And they're saying, and they're wondering, is this really is this place dying, or what's going on? Do I need to find another home too, right? So, but you could stop a lot of that through, and again, this goes back to real world, right? It's going to sound funny. In officers, you got, one person has to be, kind of the vision leadership guy, right? And another person kind of has to be the retention guy or gal, right? Mm-hmm. And another person has to be recruiting, or has to be basically the salesman, telling everybody else how good your group is, so that everybody wants to join your group because apparently they got free cookies and milk, right? And they get all the cool stuff. And then you got to have someone else that's all about logistics, right? They're getting their stuff done. They're logging in every day. They're doing the bare minimums of whatever your group is, because you set a set of standards. And so you have to set this all up in a way. And then you got to realize some people ebb and flow. The officer that was doing your recruiting, is freaking tired of recruiting, and so now we need to have a deep enough relationship to realize that they need to step back and do something different, and we need to find someone else for that role for a little bit. And the same thing is true for the top guy that's doing the vision stuff, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna, that he or she is gonna get burnt out, and they might need to take a step back for whatever reason, right? Real life, change a job, change, whatever happened. I mean, heck, we all around the world, stuff's changed in the last 9 months compared to what it was like 9 months ago, right? So everybody's in a different place. You gotta kind of set this up organizationally where you have, and you don't give and you can get burnout real quick. If you will have somebody that tells you, yes, I'll do recruiting. Yes, I'll do retention. Yes, I'll be the leader. I'll be the leader lady. And on top of that, I'm going to pop into the game and double check and make sure everybody does all their daily stuff they're supposed to be doing for the group. And you're going to burn them out. You're going to burn them out real bad. And so you got to be really, or if you don't burn them out, you're going to rely too much on them. And then their personality might change. And now they're going to think they're mini Fidel Castro. And you're going to do it the way I tell you to do it, or you can get the heck out of here because this is my play area and you're playing in my play area. So you can have multiple things kind of go awry if you let it. And it's really, and so you got to be real careful about not doing too much, not doing too little, being just right. It's, I think Goldilocks said that best a long time ago, right?
Really, the three bears? I swear to God.
So we want to make sure that we're flexible, but that we have a general kind of organizational structure to where we have roles, and we want people in these roles, and we want stuff filled, but we're flexible enough to realize that people need to move around for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different dynamics that go along with that too, right? And I think you bring up a good point. We're talking about alliance management as kind of a larger topic, right? With the whole alliance. But there is, not to forget, like a smaller officer group that is spending more time than their regular players, right?
Correct.
Invested in the game, doing additional tasks. And managing that part is pretty much as important as managing the entire alliance. Because if you start getting too much turnover in your officers, right, there's no one that your players are going to be able to rely on. And it's that combination of things. And I'm seeing Mikey's putting in some good stuff in the chat. He said, once you find the rhythm, it's rinse and repeat, but you got to find what works best first, and it's a constant search for balance, right? And it's not just balance for your entire alliance. There's also a balance that has to be done at the level of the officers. And there's a few different things that can happen after that point, right? You talked about burnout with like an officer, right? That does everything.
There's a lot of things you can do to fix some of that stuff too, right? And you see some groups do it, right? And this is kind of an organizational structure on top of the game. And this is going to sound weird, but we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Humans have been in groups as long as there have been humans, right? We know how to do this real well, right? We've been doing this since before we could write language.
Well, some know how to do it real well. Let's be honest about this. I mean, let's here for a second.
So let's take from other organizations that have been around a long time. Ranger and I'll understand this one. It comes from the military, and it's called your battle buddy. Right? You always need a battle buddy.
Battle buddy, Christ.
This is Ranger. How many times have you been my battle buddy in the game that you and I played?
Never. I don't.
A lot of times, right? Which basically means real life. No, it means real life happens. Let me make sure that if real life happens for me, I have a buddy who can fix stuff that I need fixed if I'm not around, right? What happens to this game I've invested everything in if I get hit by a bus tomorrow? Right? What happens to this?
I think you die.
What happens to this group of friends that I've got? Right? Yeah. We want to make sure that everybody has a friend, basically. That's what that means, right? Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that we can kind of take from is also, and this is going to come from a lot of religious organizations, small groups, right? Breaking down into small groups. So we have smaller groups where you have like a leader that kind of says you're and this again, military, religious organizations, a lot of groups do this, where you have a one leader says you're also going to be like the almost the platoon leader for this group of 6 or 7 or 3 or 5 or 8 or 10 people. And so they know, you know them on a more intimate basis than the rest of us do. And you can use that as a technique to let them know we're now you only have to keep your eye on that small group of people versus I mean, some games have alliances that are like 125 people. I don't know how you can do that, but
Yeah.
Well, the other thing you meant, Grande, is like, and Finn, you're talking about this for the officers. I've been an officer before in many games and stuff. I think too, the other thing about being I call it the officer corps, is that everybody knows everybody else's job and can help support those people doing those things. Let's say someone can't log in for a day, but you guys are trying to do a raid or something. Kind of helps to have that backup officer that knows what's going on so they can take over for that moment and vice versa. So you have some redundancy with what you're going. And I just think the biggest thing about games, like, you know, one of the biggest things is finding the people that fit what you're trying to do.
yeah,
If you get that right,
yeah.
the rest of this stuff just works itself out.
I
If
totally
you have
agree.
people that are like-minded,
Yeah.
that have the same goals and the play styles, right? And it doesn't matter whether you're playing World of Warcraft or SOS, or you're playing Star Wars Galaxy here. It doesn't matter the game, right? There's guilds in all those, right? And so there's different things, but there's still raids and things, but there's different dynamics. But you know, what is your guild trying to accomplish? Are you trying to be the top, or you just want to be casual? Like, these are things that are decided, and then you find those people that want to do those things and grow and become a part of that, right? So, you know, for instance, in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, Finn's in a much more casual guild than I am. I'm more in a competitive guild. So the different variations of what we do in our daily activities for what we're trying to accomplish. Like right now, I am in the middle of the new raid for Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. It's like wall-to-wall text on my computers right now with everything trying to strategize and stuff with this new crap. So and with new stuff that comes out in SOS, it's going to be the same way, right? And the other thing I'll say too is if you really want to become a good leader, you know what? You know how you become a good leader is learn to be a good follower. Support the people that are doing that. If you ain't doing that, then you support those people. And once they make a decision, you may not agree with it, but at least support them because they're taking the reins and they're the ones doing the grunt work that you're not doing. So you can offer suggestions and insight and things of that nature, but once they say, okay, this is what we're going to try to do, then support them with that, right? And learn how to really show,
Great point, Ranger.
support everybody that's trying to do it, because it
Yeah,
is not
I mean, sorry.
Go ahead, dude.
So like in SOS, you know, it's a 100-person alliance, and you will have a farm alliance on top of that, which is basically everyone that has an off. And then you've got to go ahead and deal with the other alliances in the state. So you've got to go ahead and have, you know, at least in law, we've got someone that runs each different event. You know, they've taken it in and they've gone ahead and just like made it their baby. And there's always someone that like overlooks like, hey, I heard this, you know, like maybe we should try this. And the person that runs it has the go ahead to either follow that or not, you know, because at the end of the day, they're kind of doing it. So you have to have enough faith in your R4s or the person that you gave the task to complete it, you know, and that person has to be, the reason that they're an R4 is because they're a good listener and they'll take direction when needed, you know, which is very important in your R4. You can't just have someone that's just like, you know what, I'm going to do my own thing. I spend money in this game. I can go ahead and do what I want. Like, you know, the big thing in every alliance that I've ever been in is it's people first. You know, you've got to get good people in order to kind of move forward. Because if you've got people that are just going to go ahead and fly off and just do crazy things and upset people and just really kind of rock the boat, it never works out. You know, it could be someone that's just like a millionaire and it's going to be like, yeah, you know, and that will just, you will have more people leave than anything else.
I want to give credit to Furry here, because Delete, I do want you to go a little bit more on that topic. She says it does become like a second job, because there's also not just managing your alliance, but you're managing sister alliances, farm alliances, political balances, as we'll talk a little bit more about SVS and how that plays into this. But you have to manage the political balances, especially if you're a larger alliance, right? Which like Law is. We're not that large in 359. Like I think we're 12 or 11 right now. So we're one of the larger ones, but we're not one of the large ones when it comes to like political balance, right? Which is usually going to be about the top, maybe somewhere between 3 to 6, depending on your state. So how do you manage? It's not just your own, and especially as an R5, I'm sure you're seeing this as well. You're not just managing your own alliance; you are managing all these different things, and there's also the relationships that you have with the other alliances in your state. So how do you go about balancing that in the best way? And I know it can be
Honestly, you've
difficult.
got to be you. I mean, it's really hard. You've got to be a really good listener. You've got to be able to also, and especially this game is chat, so you've got to be able to see the difference in tone in chat, and not only your people, but the people that you're talking to on a regular basis. Because if that starts to change, then you can go ahead and detect burnout before it's there. You can go ahead and just kind of, so then it's like, we need to cycle this person off of that because this is eating them up. They don't have the time. Their life is changing. We need to get them off of that because you can see the difference between like, hey, what's going on? Every guy's like, we're doing this again. Like that's got to be a red flag. You got to pay attention to your people, and you've got to be able to kind of cycle that around. The toughest thing about SOS is the fact that who you are partnered up with in your state, whether they're the biggest collection of assholes or they're the biggest collection of people that really don't want to play, you don't have a choice. So you've got to learn how to talk to as many people that you can as possible. We have in 125, there's 3 top alliances and there are 300 completely different personalities in those alliances. And they will change on a daily basis. Someday, every day, some days everyone wants to get along and some days are like, you know what, this sucks. You guys suck. I'm tired of listening to you and this is what I want to do. And those are the days that you got to get through and be like, hey, man, like, what's going on? Like, let's figure this out. And you've got to maintain a level head at all times, because fighting fire with fire only makes ash. It doesn't do anything good. You've got to be able to kind of distinguish that and make sure that you're focused on the task at hand. With SVS coming up, we've got 3 top alliances and frankly, it was 2-on-1, our last regular capital. We fought 2 alliances against 1, and it was just, that's the way we wanted to be. I picked the side. I didn't pick the side that, they wanted me to pick, and I picked a different side, and now the other side's pissed. So I had to do some mending of the fences, and I had to do that. It was just the right thing to do for the rest of the state, and that's the way that and I told them, I was like, hey, man, not for nothing, I help them because they hold it, and they are better at it than you. And they're like, well, we've got stronger players. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't matter to me. The overall health of my state does matter. Your personal opinions on just how this is going doesn't. And I had to show them and I had to go ahead and tell them, like, this is why. Whether you like the decision or not, know that this is the truth, of what the situation is. And let them make the decision because some people will want to change and listen to you and some people won't. And you're always going to have people like, Fury actually, she was with Daedric, who has 2 billion kills, which is just a massive amount. That is just a wrecking ball. That is someone coming into your game, logging in every day, and just destroying every plan that you had for that day if you weren't careful. Managing a personality like that or a player like that in your game is very hard to do because you just have people that aren't ready to protect themselves all the time. Don't want to go ahead and shield, don't want to have to pay to protect themselves, just want to be a casual player. And it will just deteriorate your state. It'll cut your free to play and your bottom line really quick. And you've got to find a way to be like, hey, like if I was in Daedric state, I would have tried to talk to him and be like, hey, man, are you going for the record? If you're going for the record, we will go ahead and just assign, like a farm alliance that you can just kill on the daily. We'll just go ahead and just keep running, tier 1 troops through there and we'll build your kill count. That's how I would have approached it. I don't think they approached it that way, but it's the way it is. You've got to be able to shift tack. Also, you can't just be like, this is the way that this is going to happen, and that's it. You've got to
Be
understand
flexible,
that.
right? We talked about it.
Yeah.
Be flexible, right? Be flexible, and then know what people's goals are.
Well, you
And
also
yeah,
have to be
completely.
flexible with yourself. I see you have to be also make self-evaluations about what you're doing in the game, what your goals are, what you want in the game, what you want to contribute. Now, sometimes you maybe if you got to be honest about it. Sometimes you may take on more than, let's say you become an officer and it's too much, or maybe as Grande brought up, it's real life is changed, right? We've seen that happen as he brought up in the last 9 months. There's nothing wrong with saying I can't do this right now. Don't be afraid to say something along those lines, and don't be afraid. I mean, also, if you're in that leadership position and someone is just not working out in your position and you try to do, I mean, my policy is, and Finn knows this, I'll work with you, I'll give you a chance, and I'll listen to you, and I'll see what your beefs and your gripes are. But at the end of the day, if you're a cancer, if you're just not listening, or if this not working
Oh
out,
man.
you cannot be afraid to cut someone out either. I mean, I think that was brought in the chat as well. You have to think about the overall health of the guild as
It
well.
sucks the
The
first couple
alliance.
times you do it too. If you're in management and you have to boot someone
Yeah, I've had to fight
because
for
of
real life.
because of their personality or because they want to stay with the group, but you know that they would be better suited in a different group, or the majority of your group's goals have changed and this person's goals didn't change with the rest of the groups. I mean, it can be tough. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The first couple of times we had to boot somebody, especially whenever the stuff changes, and this is somebody's real life friend, and we're having to. I mean, I'm man enough to tell you, I cried in a parking lot one time over booting a dude. Not even kidding you, because you got time invested in these people, and someone has to realize that the goals don't align anymore, and we need to part ways. And it really is better to part ways than it is not to part ways sometimes, because if you don't, then the decision will be made for you, because 8 or 10 or 12 or whatever number of people that are really upset about it will go somewhere else. So in effect, you're booting, you're either removing the problem or separating the groups with the different goals and ways they want to play, or the move will happen for you.
Yeah. And we'll kind of jump a little bit more into SVS, because I think SVS is a bigger topic, because there's a big distinction between what we have been talking about so far versus SVS, right? And the big difference is that in some ways you can consider your alliance or your group of like farm alliances, right, as kind of like friends at some point, right? You guys are all working together, maybe not always harmoniously, but you're working together in a common goal, right? But SVS is a different monster entirely, right? You're with other alliances that maybe you're trying to get the same mindset, but it's a different alliance completely. They don't do things the same way as you. They may not think overall the same way you do, right? There's a power that you're trying to bring to SVS by combining forces, and you try to get that like-minded thought, but it's not that easy. So we'll talk a little bit about the SVS here in a second, but before we go there, I want to do a couple of things here. First off, to everybody in chat, thank you guys so much for joining us during this bunker stream. We do this again every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we still have more to go. We're about an hour into it, but what I want you guys to do here is to take a second, if you haven't already, give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't, we talked about communication. Communicate it out for us. Put it in your Discords. Put it in your line chats, wherever you guys do it. Put it in your game chats as well. Let everyone know, because I'm going to put up the second code for you guys. So the only ones we want getting this are the people that are here. So put the link to our stream in your Discords, in your state chats. Get them here. Let them get the codes. Tell them to come watch, because we're going to talk more, especially with SVS coming up. Make sure they're here for that discussion. And what I'm also going to do is, I appreciate all of you guys giving your thoughts in chat as well. So I'm going to read some of the stuff that you guys have been putting about alliance management in the chat too, while the code is up. So let me put up the second code here. And the second code for today is Burger. Burger. It is burger. So go ahead and get that code in. Now, all of these codes are for 1,000 bios, and I can't remember how many. It's I think 25-minute speed ups, or is it 12? 12. I think it's 12 5-minute speed ups. So go ahead and get in those gift codes into your game. If you're not sure how to get it, look down below. I'll show you guys right now. You click on your icon in the left, you go to your settings, and you click on gift redemption. That is what you do. Then you type in the code and you get yourself the bonus. So make sure you guys do that right now if you haven't. And I'm going to go through and read some of the things you guys have been talking about. I've been picking through some of these as you guys have been discussing it. But let me go ahead and pick some of these out that I saw here as we're going along. I'm going to start off. Thane, yes, I have a fluffy bottom. Fluffy bottom, fluffy bottom.
Get that shit out of here.
Yes, Thane, I do. Now give me $5. I'm just throwing that out there. Let's see.
Demanding your lunch money, Thane. What you gonna do about that?
Let me see. What else is Mikey says he's been through state and guild mergers, and we haven't talked a little bit about mergers, so we'll talk about those as well. But he said we've been through guild and state mergers in Swuggo, SOS, Game of War, and countless PC games. It's fun and the art, and it is. It requires you to really come at it with a different mentality. And you're right, people will always leave though, and that's the sad part. And it really it depends, right? How the merge is going. If you have a full alliance or guild with like half really competitive and half not competitive, it's more difficult than if you have half competitive and half inactive. Right? Because then the inactive leave and you don't have to worry about that. So it really depends on what the state of the merger is. I think overall you're correct, Mikey, but there are some situations, and I think we just did that in 359, where it was kind of two alliances with ours and another GOS that merged, but it's largely because we had a group that was inactive, right? And so we were able to merge it pretty well. We're at 100, and I don't think either side had to lose anyone that was active, which is good. So there are ways that it can be handled, but again, I would say just like our state in 359, that kind of merger is a little bit more of a rarity. It's hard to find like kind of two alliances that have the inactives that just kind of match up that way. But there are some situations where it may work out, so I was happy that we were able to kind of put that together. I'm gonna give this question right now. Delete. The question was from Eric B. And the question was, does this component event unlock Plasma Institute or no?
Yes. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's basically the Plasma Institute is what your end-all goal is for everyone in your state to go ahead and open and build that building and start to make plasma weapons for your plasma troops. And it is a lot. It's it's just like another plasma building where you have to raise it 5 plasma levels before you can start to do anything in it. And then you have an entirely whole new tree for each type of troop that you need to go ahead and start to build up again.
Oh, goody. I can't wait.
We also had a question from Dustin, and this one's directed towards Grande. He says, is this guy from the South like me? Grande, where are you from?
He's from Canada.
No, I'm definitely not from Canada.
He's definitely from Canada.
I have lived in the South my whole life.
Southwest.
As if the hat didn't give it away.
I was actually born in Atlanta, Georgia.
Isn't that funny for Grande? I'm in Texas, landed in Atlanta. You was born there. You were born in Atlanta, ended up in Texas. And
that's correct. That's correct. I have lived and been in multiple places in the world. Yes. And sometimes my southern accent gets deeper than others.
It's a nice Texas accent. Let me tell you something right there.
Eric B has another question. I think this one's probably directed towards you, Delete, as well. Can you research both Research Lab and Plasma Institute at the same time?
Yeah, so it's 2 separate buildings, and you can accomplish 2 different tasks at the same time, and they work independently of each other. So you don't have to stop something that you're researching in one to do the other.
Awesome. And what do you need in order to research those? Is Plasma 5 HQ? Is that the...
Yeah, it's plasma and regular resources.
Well, no, I mean,
So just
what
like
are the building requirements to even unlock the research lab at that level?
oh, you've got to
Is it
get it
Plasma
up
5?
to yeah, you got to get it up to 5.
Okay.
Actually, you know, in the PTR, I didn't see if you could do unlock like one level of plasma and then do like minor tasks in the
Oh, okay.
trees, or if you have to go to 5 and then I have so many building speed ups because I've just built up over time that I was able to kind of go ahead and speed through the entire thing and
Okay.
just bang it out. So I didn't even stop to check. But it's a good question, and I hope that it's you can do it gradually because it'll help more people, be able to utilize the building. There's already, I would probably say half my alliance is like, dude, I can't even get my base up to plasma level 5. So why am I even going to build this thing? I mean, this building is going to cause a really big gap, an even bigger gap than there is right now, from free to play to people that pay to play.
Yeah. And if
It's
anyone
gonna
in
be,
chat knows,
pretty big.
we could, you kind of understand the question that was being asked. You unlock the plasma for the HQ. Do you get the ability to do like the 1-star research at 1-star? Do you have to get 5-star in order to unlock it anywhere? Is kind of the question, right? And I think Delete basically said he sped through it too quickly. was his answer.
How much did that cost you?
So
Jesus.
he
Which
doesn't know.
is what I do.
Yeah.
Me and Finn did
Over
one plague zone,
9,000.
and I finished it in like 45 seconds.
Yeah.
So,
We've said it before.
yeah.
The difference between myself and Delete is 16 digits. That's that has been our answer for it
Only
now.
16 digits.
Cha-ching,
That is.
cha-ching.
That is. We have made that like the phrase for anything now from the bunker. If there's a difference between you and anyone else, the separation is 16 digits. That's exactly
Yeah.
what the difference is. Let's see.
It's funny, actually. There's one thing I do want to say about that.
Yeah.
Because we have a legit credit card warrior in 125 who thought that they could just buy everything right off the bat and not have to spend anymore. And this was, that person came off to me as like, oh, I've been playing games forever. I know everything about mobile games. I blah, 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 blah. That person is now dead in the water.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they are. You see them all the
spent-
time in every
They
game.
spent in the
right?
beginning and then they stopped spending.
Yeah.
The game, you have to keep paying attention and can keep gradually spending with your account, or you start to fall behind and everyone can catch you. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Let's see. We have another thing here from Apex. And Apex says geographic differences is both great and tough at the same time. And I think we're in agreement with that, right? You get the benefit of having that 24-hour kind of watch rotation for anything that goes on, which is necessary for a war game, but it's also detrimental because you have these alliance events that sometimes become difficult to coordinate. And SVS gets even more complicated, so we'll talk about that here in a minute because the time is not set by your alliance in any way, right? Like if you have weird times with your alliance, you know that you're doing it because some people are able to, some people are not. SVS has times that are not set by you and anyone in your alliance, and it becomes a little more difficult. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Again, the second code is up.
The language barrier too. Language barrier is a bit of a problem.
Oh yeah. You get someone who
translator has gotten
Not
better.
if they speak American.
But I mean, again, right? Like Delete's saying, language translators have gotten good, but you've got some people that I've noticed they don't talk, and you learn to wonder why. You're like, hey, why does this dude never talk? And then you realize he's in Hong Kong and he doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
Like he's literally running everything that's said through a translator before he type, and then he's saying everything he says back is through a translator.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine what that would be like.
Yeah, and the SOS translator is okay, right? I've noticed more recently, like, and there's different languages.
I'm talking about
that
Discord,
work.
right? He's running Discord through a translator.
Oh, so we'll talk about both actually, because we did this recently. So in game in SOS, they do have a translation service, where on each of the messages you can click it and it'll translate to whatever your set language is. Right. The problem is it's not to the level of like, let's say, a Google Translate. So it makes the translations odd sometimes. I've noticed the worst ones are usually the Russian ones. The Russian ones don't
Ugh.
translate correctly. The other one I've noticed, and maybe this is just because of the population of the state or who talks in state chat in 359, but the Indonesian ones, a lot of times they'll type stuff and it doesn't translate. I mean, the most easiest one, and I've come to realize is a little bit more of a laugh, which is a WK that shows up, and it's their laugh type of thing, but it doesn't translate anything. And sometimes they have like a sequence of these, which I'm sure are like different idioms that every language has, right?
Right.
There's like little phrases and sayings that just don't translate. But with the Indonesian ones, like I've seen those a little bit more, and Russians in particular are not being translated super well. So in game, at least there's something. I mean, it's a good thing they have, right? We haven't seen that in all games. So the ability to do in-game translation, I think, is a really big plus. It's not always accurate, but it's better than nothing. So you get kind of some communication between all players. We recently, with our merger with GOS, right? They had more international players than we did. So we brought in all these people, and we've started to get better with the translation. We're using the in-game one, but Discord has a translation bot, and I'll give a shout out to Nikki, who's in the chat. I know she set it up in our Discord, and we've seen this in our state chat, in our state Discord as well. The translations are pretty well done with the Discord bots.
Right.
So the out of game communication, I'm gonna reuse the word, but they've stepped up their game. There's a lot of bots and stuff out there that do a really good job, and Grande was talking about it earlier. I'll let you continue, Grande. Communication is big.
It's huge,
right? And those Discord bots are huge too.
Discord bots are great, but the question, what we were talking about knowing someone so you know if they have a problem, it's going to be difficult if you send them a PM, right? like, hey, buddy, how you doing, right?
Yeah.
In Discord or in line, as far as them even understanding what it is that you're saying. And, if you're trying to get to know some of these players and understand, you could have a whale who only speaks Spanish or a whale that only speaks Mandarin Chinese. And you want to keep that person happy and also make sure that they understand what's expected of them. And then if you have a one-on-one situation where you need to help them, it can be difficult to do that, and let them feel like they can reach out.
Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting. The communication part is definitely a big factor of all of this, right? No matter what we talk about in terms of management and management style and different things you can take, the communication is huge, and making sure there's some way to get clear communication is always the most difficult part. And I think SOS is making moves in the correct direction for that. I think the translation is improving, right? I've seen it get better over time, and I think they're actively working on making it a better translation. Obviously, I'm sure as kind of, in King's Group is big, right? But it's not huge. Something like a Google Translate is going to cost a lot of money probably to implement inside of a game, so I'm not expecting that. So they're developing their own, and it's a big undertaking to do in a war game where communication is kind of big. Because let's not fool ourselves, a miscommunication due to translation can often cause a war between two alliances, right? Where something comes off as sarcastic or snarky when they were just trying to be serious and it just doesn't translate correctly.
We've seen that before with people where English is their second language, right?
Yep.
We all have people who, let's say it's a French person, right? And they're speaking English because the majority of the people in the group are speaking English. Their English isn't super great. And so sometimes they can come off really rough and abrupt, and in their own language, they wouldn't come off that way.
Yeah.
It's again, right? It's something about, humans interacting with each other, and how do we, take everything with a grain of salt sometimes when someone says something that, hey man, The other thing too is, the four of us sitting here talking about something, we can see each other, we can hear the inflection in the voice, we can understand, what's meant by something. If you're just reading something, sometimes you can add or subtract emotion from something that's been said. It's very easy to do, right?
Yeah.
In written form. And so you have to be kind of careful about that sometimes.
Or like with Grande, you have to know when Grande reads, you're going to suffer horrible damage, because when Grande reads something to you, it's
oh yeah, that's true. You could have a person
for
who's in the
instance,
chat.
you can have a person that just sucks at it, and so
that's dyslexic like me, and so they're just gonna read it.
So when
wrong.
we're talking about Dragon Ball Z and Cockrod is pronounced cock carrot by Grande, suffer horrible damage and it ruins the moment.
I have to say one of the most, and it's weird, right? Like it was a happy moment for me, and we're just talking about communication and language, right? And it happened recently. Is I took Spanish back in like 7th and 8th grade, and I still remember it. It's very basic, right? It's simple words. Like my biggest problems are like vocabulary. So sometimes you say words I don't understand. I may not conjugate the verbs correctly, so I usually speak in present because it's just easier. I can't remember exactly how to do past and future and stuff for everything. But we had a person in our alliance that spoke Spanish, and I had sent out a group message in Alliance telling them to join the Discord and everything, and she messaged me in Spanish, and I didn't even hit the translate in game for SOS, but she messaged me in Spanish saying that she joined the Discord but doesn't understand anything that's being said in Discord. And so I started talking back to her in Spanish, and I told her my Spanish, I took classes 20 years ago and my Spanish is broken. But she seemed happy. She was like,
she was happy that you were making an effort.
Exactly. Right.
You get it. It's like G.I. Joe, right? Showing up is half the battle. You were showing up. I got it.
And I always like the attempt to be able to like speak Spanish, right? It's one of those things where it's like, if I get the opportunity to practice, it's like, I love to practice it. I want to improve upon it. It just, realistically, I don't have a reason to, right? There's nothing with my job that requires me to speak Spanish. I don't really have the time necessarily to invest and to try to master Spanish. I mean, my free time goes into like RSG at this point, right? So that's where I'm putting my free time.
It does not. It goes into Twinkies and fruit snacks.
Well, that's what I eat while I'm working on RSG stuff. But I mean, I could have invested that time in like learning another language or something like that. So when these opportunities present itself, it's fun for me because I get to test kind of how much I remember, but it also shows the other people that, like, you may not know, but there is that effort, like you said, Grande, where it's like, we'll try to communicate with you the best we can. It may not be perfect, but it's that effort, and sometimes those little things actually help with it may not even be communicated correctly, right? It could be broken Spanish that you're communicating.
But you're building, you're putting the two, you're removing a barrier, right? And every time you're working on trying to remove a barrier, the people are going to be appreciative about that.
Yes.
True.
What were you saying?
You gotta try. I was going to tell you that yo tengo un gato en mi pantalones.
You have a cat in your pants. Got it. Perfect.
Claro que sí. All right. Let's see.
Or you could speak Texas Spanish. I don't know if you know that my father speaks Texas Spanish. He goes up. So he goes up to some of the guys. He says, "Cómo estás, frijole?"
What?
That means, so "Cómo estás, frijole" is how you been. I been good. And you say frijole bien. That's how you answer that. And that means I've been good.
I love it.
I love Grande.
I love it. Delete.
All
Don't
right.
encourage him.
I love Grande. All right. Let's see. So if you guys want, again, thank you to all of you guys that are putting things in chat. We're gonna try to read some of your guys' things as we go along as well. We're gonna switch off now back to what we had discussed. We're gonna talk about SVS. And we have a couple more topics that we'll talk about. So I hope you guys are enjoying your time here. Again, 30 viewers. We're glad to have all of you here, and it looks like most of you are active in chat, so we love it. I'm scanning through the chat as we're going along here as well. So post your comments. You may have your comment read on stream. So let's talk about SVS, because SVS has a few different components that we kind of touched, that are different with alliance management. And it's that you're not managing your own alliance, you're managing relationships with other alliances. But let's separate that from what we're talking about, because we talked about sister alliances and farm alliances. We talked a little bit about political, but what we're really doing in SVS is trying to band together with alliances that otherwise you might be hostile towards, right? You're trying to come together to get your state to victory and putting aside your differences in order to cooperate together in order to do that. And I'll start with you, Dalik, because I think you have the most direct experience with this. Is it's hard when you have different mentalities going in with different alliances onto how they want to do it and getting them together, right?
Yeah, it's in some scenarios it's downright impossible. But there I've heard horror stories where you go ahead and set a pact, with your other alliances to go ahead and beat the other state. And one of the alliances that's like a key player that's got like, you set this giant plan and you're like, all right, dude, we're totally going to pull this off and this is how we're going to do it. And they go ahead and just hamstring you. They cut you right at the Achilles and they turn against you. And that just will lose an SVS for you, And there are scenarios where I've heard, just in my state today, it's like trying to keep together three alliances, our top three alliances, from just self-destructing is close to impossible. Like one of the alliance's key members are Russian. So, I was having a 6 to 7 hour conversation today that just went all over the place. It went from like, you guys suck to this sucks and we're not going to help to I'm going to burn you to like just nonsense, like even preying on the fact that like, do you want to win? Yes or no? Because if you want to win, this is how we're going to do it. And this gives us the best chance to win.
Some people just want to watch the world
on that. Yeah, some people just want to watch the world burn. And you do the best you can. You really do. If you're the alliance that's causing issues, I mean, take a look at what you really want done. Do you want to win? Because if you want to win, you play the game the right way and you go ahead and make a plan and you get it done. And the other thing too with SVS is everyone's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. So you've got to be able to play the game on the fly. And if it's like, well, we set this plan, we're doing our thing, and that's what we're supposed to do, and we're just doing our thing, we're not going to change, then I'm sorry, you're not really part of the collective that's going to get it done. You've got to be able to shift and just go ahead and apply your knowledge of the game to go ahead and help you win. That's just it. You've got to be able to play the game. And SVS is capital on a larger scale. So you should know how to win capital. If your team's not getting it done, let my team get in there and see if we can try and get it done. So on and so forth, and continue and rinse and repeat until you establish a victory or a loss. I mean, especially in this game, you can know if you're going to win or lose pretty quickly. The stats will show like, wow, this was our strongest player and he just got crushed. Probably not going to win this one. But let's go ahead and play it strategically and let's see how strong the other teams are. Maybe get into towers, make their damage even more, and then go about it that way. Maybe they don't have enough people on to go ahead and push the help button. And then you're like, oh, that's not working either. Guess what? It's done. It's a wrap. There's no coming around to that. You've got to go ahead and just play smart, and just talking with other alliances sometimes is difficult, especially if you're a state that's combative. If it's just nonstop, I'm coming at you. I don't care who you are. I'm coming at you. Dealing with that can be trying on the mind, can be a very tough situation to deal with. I would actually love to hear in chat if there are more states out there that everyone gets along, or if there are more states out there where everyone hates each other.
Yeah, because Delete's in 2 of them, right? You're in 125. You also see how things work in 359, where it's like completely different, right? Like our top alliances, I mean, we have faced, unfortunately, some really difficult competition, right? And it was one of those things where just like, oh my god, the top guy is just so freaking maxed out compared to our guys. Like, what is the matchup really gonna do? But I think in every situation, our state has come together. I think our top alliances work well together. And again, 359 may be an anomaly amongst all the states. So yeah, definitely in chat, what are your guys' experience with SVS and alliances working together? Well, I'm gonna put a little wrinkle on something Delete mentioned, but before we get to that, Grande, I know in Galaxy of Heroes we never really had anything particularly like this, right? There's no like guild and guild combining and against other guilds or anything like that. We had just the one guild versus the other with territory wars. But
there are a few things that are sort of similar to this.
Yeah.
And one of the things you can equate this to is shards, arena shards, right?
Yeah.
And
that's a good one.
And ship shards. Once you're in an arena shard, you're in an arena shard for as long as you play that account. You can never move an arena shard, period, right? And you never know who you're going to get in an arena shard. And it violates terms of service, but I'm going to tell you, and this particular player has retired at this point, but we had a military member who had to go overseas for about a month, and I played his account for him. I know it breaks terms of service, but it's a longtime friend, and I did it. And so I remember, and my arena shard was really quiet, really easygoing. Maybe 10 or 20 people did most of everything at this point after 5 years. And my ship shard was really active, right? I mean, you could easily drop 50 places overnight. And this player's relatively similarly been in the game as far as I have. We just happen to be in different groups. His arena shard, he would drop to 100 every day and then climb all the way back up to 1, which meant he had to fight 10 or 12 or 15 fights just to get all the way up there. And mine was mostly Americans with a few Europeans sprinkled in. His was almost completely Australians, right? So just completely different dynamic. And then his ship arena shard, which again, you can't change that at all. His was, he stayed in the top 3 all day long and had to fight like one fight for first. So what I've noticed is that depending on how certain people come together, you will find everything under the rainbow, right? It's kind of like countries in the world, right? They all find different ways to govern themselves a little bit. They all have quirky little rules that no one else has, right? Because somebody thought of this solution at the time that they needed it. And so everybody was like, well, it's the best solution we can all come up with. So that's what we're doing. That's how we roll. And then everyone's like, well, it works okay. So there's no reason to change it, or that's all they've known. And so, different people come from a different perspective. And that's probably the biggest thing. And I cannot assume that my perspective is the same as someone else's. It's very easy to hear just enough information to think that I know where someone is coming from and then make a decision based off of that. And what I found is that there's a lot of detail and nuance that is important sometimes and can get lost if you've already made a decision on something. And so my guess is that there are tons and tons and tons of nuanced differences from one state to another. Tons of them. What somebody asked, what is Lord Skunk?
Yeah, I know that's Thane. I mean,
that's not.
So there is. I mean, we have. No. So the funniest part about that, Grande, is that there is a huge discrepancy between just the states that Delete is in, right? And I've heard enough. Yeah. There just Delete enough. I mean, there is going to be the full spectrum in between, right? But there is a big difference between 125 and 359 in terms of how all of this happens, right? And there's one thing you mentioned.
And that's just 2 data points, right?
That's just 2 data points. It just happens to be the 2 kind of like tail extremes in the comparison.
We think, but you think they are, right?
But they should be, because one is like hostile in every way.
And you're thinking that the plot is linear.
No,
right?
no. It's going to be bell curve probably, where you're going to have some balance in the middle.
What I'm saying though is that we're basing this off of a linear scale at this point, because we only have 2 data points. You have a third data point, and now you've gone from 1-dimensional to 2-dimensional, right?
Yeah.
If you get a 4th data point, now it's a 3-dimensional version that you're looking at.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
We literally do not have enough perspectives currently to understand all of the nuanced differences.
Yeah. No. You're 100% right. And as you bring in different personalities and egos, of course, you're going to bring in different kind of interactions, and there's a whole lot of variance with that. So that's completely true. Furry, we're not here to do math. Furry, do you not know me? Do you not know me?
We're not doing math, and we're not talking about Lord Scott.
Oh wait, but no, we'll do math. Okay, we're gonna talk about math. Right. So
this is
if
new
Delete
math.
leaves 125 at a speed of 60 miles an hour and comes into 359 at a speed of 120, how far is he gonna spend in 359?
Over 9,000.
That is the question that we need answered.
If I could, I mean, I love a lot of people in my alliance, but if I could leave right now and take my base to 359 and probably I'd go back to like Plasma 2. I would literally drop levels, and they could probably cut my troops in half. So this way I wasn't like coming in some like giant whale, that was just going to blow everything out of the water. I would leave 125 in a heartbeat. It would not even be a question.
Now, if you leave and come back, Delete, I got a question. If you left and went to 359, right? And then later you come back to 125, is your base the same level it was when you
You can't leave. My base in 125 has to stay in 125. Right?
Always. It's just like shards.
Well, I think the question you're asking right now, his level is going to be the same, but his troops might be down because he's not active. So he may get burned. He might lose troops if he's getting attacked. So his base is going to be weaker than when he left. But the levels of his buildings and everything are going to be the same. Like you don't get demoted. Like if you're a Plasma 5, you don't get down to a Plasma 4 with inactivity. Your base will remain a Plasma 5, but there's things that you may lose. You may lose resources. You may lose troops, things like that. So there are things that would be detrimental, and that's why Delete's saying like he can't leave, because if he's the top guy in his alliance, like. Leaving, we talked about this earlier, right? The pressure on an alliance.
The black on him.
Because I am like I'm the biggest player in my alliance. If I don't play, nobody else eats. If Dad doesn't go to work, nobody can't turn the heat on. And it's pressure. And like I didn't build my base in 125 or in this game to go ahead and be the top player. I built the base purely on the fact that like it was goal driven. It was purely like, you know what? I can do this. Let's go ahead and do it. I can get to this next level. Let's get to this next level. It wasn't like to go ahead and beat the next person. It was literally because I could do it. I did it. It wasn't like. And
it was goal oriented. You had something you wanted to accomplish each time.
Purely, Delete. And next thing you know, I look around and I just happen to be standing in a room by myself. It was like
that happens to me all the time. I'm always in the room by myself.
Yeah.
But that's for a different reason.
You brought up an interesting thing, Delete, and I'm wondering, because we've addressed this topic before, and I wanted to get to it a little bit towards the end, but I'm going to bring it up now because you just kind of brought it up here. With migration, right? Let's suppose that you can move from one state to another. What if the option was that you can pick whichever state you want to go to, but your base would be reset to whatever it was based on the length of time that the state was that you're moving to where you were. Ooh. So for example, like our state is about like, hold on, I can look at my VIP right now. We are about 140 days old. So you could move with your base into 359, but it resets it to wherever you were 140 days into the game. Would that be something that would interest you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Big time.
the issue here though is you're only moving down. What happens if a dude wants to move up?
They can move up.
That's
that.
They would have to
no.
spend
That would
some
be like
money.
a suicide, though. Honestly,
Yeah,
at
so
this
you
point,
die.
if you
Well,
go
but
to an older state, you are behind in so many different things. Even if you completely wail, right? You're not going to have the troops.
But again, it's like you can only go down escalator. You can't ever go up the escalator. And so effectively what would happen is the top would empty out. And then what do you do when there's 3 people in one state?
Well, that's kind of what the problem is right now, actually, Grande. So the problem is the older states, it's been dominated by just the top people. So it's kind of gotten rid of all of the other people in the shards or in the state. So the states are now just like 3 or 4 active alliances and other people that maybe log in every week, maybe every other day, something like that. So those ones are not active enough, honestly. And if the top ones leave, then those ones may have some renewed life in their older state.
That's like state mergers.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. We're looking at the game is looking at the potential of state mergers, right? And trying
it's
to
like shard
get
mergers. It's the same thing. I mean,
Yeah,
how do you or shard splits, right? I think in SWGOH there's actually been a shard. They did one fleet shard split.
Exactly.
One fleet shard split. The challenge here though is who's the judge, right? Who gets to pick sides?
Well, that's why I was saying, like, if each person is able to go to a newer state, but your base gets reset, right? You're doing this knowing full well you're going to lose all the money that you put in, right? Let's say, I don't know how old 125 is, but it's probably in the neighborhood of about 300 days, probably.
270 something days.
So whatever you spent in the last 130 days, if you move to 359, is gone if you come to 359, right? That would be what you would be sacrificing in order to move.
It would be, that is in the number of the dollar amount that I'd be sacrificing would be a lot. And I can tell you that it would be worth it as long as I could scout my destination,
what if you're free to play?
What's going on.
Yeah, but free to plays might have a different opinion about that, right? I mean, you would do better to merge 125 with 126 and 124 with 123.
Yeah.
But you don't know what the balances of those states are either. It's hard to say that. I mean, you're doing that based on just the state numbers.
It would refilter. It would refilter by far.
And we've talked about there's a lot of problems just merging state with state because there's territories that are being claimed by each state, right? By each alliance within the state. So just combining it just causes all kinds of chaos. Like there's one capital. Where does that capital go? Right? Do you move them from one state to another? But then the people that were in the original state have all of the territory. What do the new alliances do? Like there is no, and to all fairness with King's Game, like we're giving solutions, or King's Group, sorry, we're giving all like these different ideas, but we know full well like there's no easy solution. There's nothing that's going to work perfect. There's certain things that we're saying are maybe more important than others, right? But there's no perfect solution. They need to do something though, and I think they're aware of that. We've kind of seen some of the writing on the wall with that, where they've had these different posts and they're looking at it and they're trying to get options to players, and I think that's a smart thing to do. Hopefully, they will do something along those lines and get something for the older states to get them more active beyond just like the few alliances that they're facing on a daily basis. But
personally, I think in 359, like territories should operate in seasons. Like, okay, you dominated, this season with territory, but now you've got to rebuild towers. All towers are taken down.
Oh, like Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner, right? We have like a land grab rush. Right?
Yeah, you're going old school, Grande. Yeah, I mean,
I'm just thinking. Okay, like if we
random thing from history he could think of.
Well, I'm just thinking. Okay, how do you?
The Red River Wars back in the 1830s.
I'm telling you. Let me tell you, Boomer Sooner. I was here first to stake my flag on it. It's my territory. That's what I'm telling you. Yeah. But no. But seriously, if you could reset it somehow, right? Like. How would you basically have like a horse race to go claim your area at the real, but basically just say, okay, everybody gets to reclaim new areas.
It would be, you could do it. It would be kind of fun, honestly. It would be like, and it would be whenever it opens, right? Everyone would be on, and it would be a massive tower build. Literally, every single person would be setting towers to build from their HQs to friggin' everywhere. You'd be targeting centers. You'd be trying to get into the Oasis. Like, it would be,
Man,
it would be pretty interesting. Don't get me wrong. It would be pretty interesting to have that. You know, in all honesty, that's not that sounds like a really fun idea. I don't think it would be good on a permanent thing, but that could be something similar to like a reservoir raid type thing where it's just an event where you can use your alliance's tech in order just to have a building race and just see who can claim all these different buildings, right? Similar to a reservoir raid.
One man leave.
I mean, a lot of times, games need to maybe experiment, right? And start it out with just a game mode, and then see if adding this new game mode could be used to fix another problem, right? So you basically, I mean, you just experiment or put it in a beta. How, have everybody join a beta and then see how you would fix it in a beta.
Yeah. And I think actually that's what may have led to Reservoir Raid, right? Like the idea behind Reservoir Raid is that you're facing other alliances outside of your state that are similar to yours. And so you do get that competition that doesn't restrict you to the state. And maybe they are moving in a direction. I know they're already looking at mergers, but maybe they're looking at more events like that as well. So just a little off topic there, getting on to state mergers, but we know that that's coming up in all of our discussions, and that's a big topic here. But going back to SVS, and Delete, you had brought up something, which is that the communication between the top alliances is important as you're trying to take towers or the capital and all of that, right? But there is another part of this, and I kind of talked about it a little bit at the beginning. Sometimes if your alliances are really friendly, right, people will move around players. And the reason for that is there is the possibility of friendly fire in SVS, right? Even though you are a state and you're trying to take over capital, if your two strongest players are in two different alliances, you may try to time your rallies against each other, right? So that one goes and one goes right after the other. But if you're doing it with like a space of like 2 seconds, you don't have enough time to necessarily spend the bios in order to pull that rally, right? If the first rally hits. So communication ends up being huge as part of this. And sometimes this is why people will move into different alliances, combine the strongest ones so you can do those back-to-back rallies. Different alliances will focus on different buildings like the towers you're talking about, so each alliance focuses on that. But how do you coordinate those kind of things? Because I'm guessing it doesn't sound like in 125 the movement of players is really one of the strategies, right? I've seen that, but it doesn't sound like that's really a strategy in 125. There's benefits, and of course, there's good and bad things about doing that. But what are your thoughts on just overall the communication between alliances for things like that, like coordinated attacks and friendly fire, where you could potentially hurt the other alliance if you're not talking and you don't time your rallies correctly?
Yeah, I mean, not for nothing, in a perfect world, there would be setters in each, or there would be everyone in a not everyone, because then it's just everyone shouting at you at the same time, but be in a voice chat where you can coordinate, hey, I need, 3 minutes to heal. I've got a 2-minute and 26-second march time. What's yours? Okay, launch at this time and we'll launch here. So this way, if you have someone that you need 2 rallies to bump out, you can go ahead and launch that. I mean, I used to think that the super alliance would work out better. The problem is coordinating that is tough, because you need people. It's tough to get that done. It's tough to get that done because, one of the strategies in SVS is if you're holding center, you want to go ahead and maximize how many people are in center. Like if the max capacity is 20 different, people that can be in there, you want 20 different people in there. So this way, the 2% damage, or I think it's 2%, the tower hits basically minimize how many people each person is dealing with. So you can heal through the tower hits, no matter how fast they're firing, if you don't have any of the towers. And I remember there was the first two SVSs actually that even if your own state held the center and you had the tower, it would fire on them anyway. So that was even a bit unfair also. That's since changed. But you like, I don't think I could join another alliance, and also it messes with your rewards doing that. You're better off having 200 people going against 100 than anything else. So joining another alliance would be in 125. I wouldn't even consider unless it was something like,
But what
I
if
can't
we
be on. I can only be on part of the day. Who's
But what if
this
we paid
pretty
you-
little lady?
Hmm.
Oh,
But
hi.
delete,
Hello
delete,
there, blue-haired goddess.
delete. But what if we paid you in Monopoly money?
Serious discussion going on. I can hear
And
it.
I'll throw in Park Place. Don't interrupt me, Linda. I'm trying to have a serious negotiation.
This is my show. I can interrupt you anytime I want.
Listen here,
Buddy.
Kakarot. We'll go at it, and I can tell you my Super Saiyan powers will
Let me
win
mute
out.
Ranger real quick.
You
Hold on
think
one
you're going to
second.
mute? Oh, I don't think so, young lady. Yeah, this may be your stream, but this I own.
You
this.
just said it. This might be my stream. What are you guys talking about?
So we were talking about
we were talking
SVS
about porn.
and
Porn.
the
It was
ability
porn.
to. So
Yeah.
and I'll agree with you to some extent, Delete. I don't think it's for all alliances to merge, right? I think you need a combination of some different alliances because obviously you need different alliances to take the towers.
You're talking
You want
about like
some
consolidating for SBS.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
every single alliance, but having some consolidate in order to get those rallies. Because if you have too many high alliances that don't communicate well, and you try to coordinate rallies in order to take capital, and you try to set those, it's very easy to mess that up, right? You have the wrong timing, right? Some people may take it personally if you don't communicate and you don't realize it. Like, I'll just say, like, let's say Rod goes first, Law goes second. Rod takes it, but you don't have enough time to pull. Rod might get pissed that Law hit them and did a bunch of damage. May not have took them out, but you might have killed half their troops. And so now they get pissed. And there's no communication going on. That could suck. So sometimes it helps, but obviously you want that separation so that one can take one tower, one can take another. You still... It's a balance of everything, right? This whole discussion, whether it's alliance management, whether it's kind of the state management, has all been about balance and finding that balance within your state. So that's what we were discussing, McVenom.
So that's actually a really good topic on this because the consolidating thing has came up a couple times in 359 Discord where people were thinking that might be an option because I know the state that we're against now, it looks like they did a consolidation.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know if it was this one or the other, I can't remember, one of our SVS opponents, they looked like they did a consolidation. And it seemed that way for Reservoir League as well. I don't know, was it Delete? Was it our state or was it ours in no, it was ours.
359 is not in league. So
no, it was in 125. Nero, Nikki, all of us were on it. And it looked like they did a consolidation, which for Reservoir League doesn't seem like a terrible idea. I think consolidating for state versus state is a bad idea. And I can tell you why. This is my opinion. It's because you want your state strong as a whole. If you pull up all of your good players, and honestly, your top players are your good players. They're the ones that know the most about the game. They might be just the heavy spenders and might not know a lot, but generally speaking, they're going to be your smartest, strongest, the best teachers, the best leaders, and you pull all of them up to somebody else. The rest of your state is kind of floundering and just kind of like watching the show. So they're not really participating and they're not really getting the equal points. They're not getting the tips that they need to learn how to play in SVS. They're not learning the game. And so they kind of just feel on the outside looking in. And you have the danger of, number one, all of the strong players wanting to stay in the top alliances. They don't want to come back down because they're having so much fun playing with all these great, strong players and they're having a good time. And yes, that sounds great for those individual strong players, but then you're in danger of killing off your state because then all the weaker players are all down and you have top 3 alliances that are just nothing but, 5 stars.
Yep.
And then your state's going to die eventually because I think consolidation, when you think of it in just the bit pieces and short-term goals, it sounds really alluring and it sounds cool. We're going to win SVS and we're going to get this cool reward and we'll have this bragging right. But on the whole, is it better for your state and for your smaller, like rank 15 and up alliances? I don't think so. It doesn't teach anybody how to play anything other than just power and throwing troops and things. You know, it doesn't really teach you strategy. It doesn't teach you team working together and alliances working together to figure something out, you know?
Yep. No,
That's my
that
opinion.
makes perfect sense. Go ahead, Delete.
Yeah. I think, when we do it on a very small scale, where it's like, we'll take like 3 or 4 players in,
Yeah.
like from sister alliances and just be like, okay, and they kind of see the flow of things of how we do it. And it helps them because now they understand, they know the strategy, they know how we set our rallies, how we build our rallies, how we wait for our rallies. Like, we had a scenario, like I was saying, it was 2 alliances against 1 in our own state. And it was just like, hey, this is what we're going to do. And they were like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Like every time you see white lines going into a base, that's when we're going to go hit, So as soon as they win it, we're going to hit them right behind it. And then we're going to leave and give it back. Like that's how we ran it. And they were like, why would we do that? And I'm like, well, now we're facing, them as if they're half their troops have been decimated by a strong rally. And they haven't refilled yet. So now we're only going against half their troops. So they're taking double damage really quick, filling up their hospitals that much stronger, or that much larger, damage and wounded wise. And next thing you know, you're turning around, you're turning the tide of the battle. Yeah. So, they went back to their own, to their own alliance, and they were able to kind of use that knowledge and be like, hey, this was the deal. So, pending they go back, which I always recommend, like, hey, I'm not here to poach your players. You want to come here, that's fine. But like, don't just come here just because and leave everybody else behind, because that ain't cool either. So
yeah. Well, and it's a good point to say that too, that our state's 125 is older, so we can we know a feel of who's loyal to their alliance and is coming over just for a couple of things, just for a push for a certain really hard opponent, versus a newer state that you're still like, honestly, I know that 359 all thinks every alliance is super solid and we're a family. You're not. Until you hit 6 months in, there's no such thing as a family. Things change, things rotate, power shift, wars happen. I mean, until you're about 6 months in, there's no real definitive tier. Things are going to change all the time. Delete was in a whole different alliance in 125 for the first 3 months. Delete, if not.
I feel like it was a little bit longer when I was in Wall.
Yeah, we were enemies. We were enemies in our state, for the first 4 months, and now we're the best of friends in the same alliance. So
that's what you think.
Delete was our top dog in 359 for the first 3 months, and now he's passed up by a free to play. I'm just throwing that.
Way to go, Delete. Thanks, Delete.
Massively garbage, but I can change that with 16.
I know, digits. The 16 digits that separate us, I'm aware.
Which we've been waiting for you to come over and do.
Yeah.
Kind of hearing about these 16 digits.
They're just
Grande and Ranger. Ranger, you got a new background set up. I love it. Yes, you got all your cool Star Wars stuff. I'm still pulling all my stuff out. And Grande.
You got to commit to it, McVenom. You got to commit. You got to think.
How you doing, McVenom?
Yes.
What mountain you been hiding in, man? Mr. Mountain Man there.
Mountain Man.
Mountain Man. That's
look at the beard and the hat.
That's Texas Zorro right there.
If I told you how old this hat is, you wouldn't even believe me.
It's probably older than I am.
Dude, that thing is
which is old.
I like it.
I'm gonna tell you.
We're not falling for your trap. We're not.
I'm gonna tell you, this hat is probably pushing 35 years old. And
so older than me, because I'm only like 30.
I'm the only owner of this hat. How crazy is that? Wow. So I got this hat when I was a child, and I had to stuff notebook paper in the front of it to make it, because my head was too small. My dad
would think, yeah.
My dad said, you'll grow into that. Of course, I got a big head. Y'all don't know this. My wife is not happy I have a big head, because that means she had to give birth to 3 children with big heads. And that was not a fun experience for her. I'm just going to let you.
All righty.
Grande, you have to.
I mean, only Grande can make the connection between.
I'm not making that up.
He's right. He's right.
Let me just tell you.
Some things are genetics, unfortunately. Grande, I know you have to head off soon, right?
I do.
Any last things you want to kind of depart us with?
I think the big thing is that we are paying for entertainment when we're playing these games, right? So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind that we are playing this for entertainment. It's supposed to be fun. It's not real life. It's a game. Keep it lighthearted, man. At some point.
There you go.
I think that's probably the biggest thing to do. And don't another thing I'll mention is don't burn bridges you don't have to. There's no reason to do that. A lot of times, years, if you're playing this game for years down the road, you won't remember what you were upset about, but you will remember the way people acted. If someone got super angry or lashed out at somebody, that's what you'll remember, but you may not remember why they did it. So make sure you keep a cool head and treat people nice, because that's what they remember, is whether they were treated well or weren't treated well.
There you go. So that was, of course, go ahead, delete.
I will remember situations in 125 for the rest of my life.
Some of them good and some of them bad.
Okay, so with that, I want to say, I know Grande might have to leave here in a second, so
yeah.
Thank you to Mr. Grande Patron for joining. I'd asked him to join because he...
Thank you, Grande.
Yes. He has a lot of experience with guilds and groups and all that, whether real life or in game, and I appreciate Grande hopping on and telling us some of his experiences and all that. So thank you, Grande, for joining. And
my pleasure.
We will get ready to jump in to our last and final topics here. As we've typically done here, we'll talk a little bit about some of the stuff going on in game and any improvements that we would suggest. It's kind of become a tradition now. But before we do that, the third and final code is about to go onto the screen.
Oh
so
my God.
If you guys haven't already, hit that thumbs up. Tell everybody that you know to come onto the stream so they can get that. And once again, I'll show you guys in the gameplay down below. Hit your portrait in the top left. It'll open up your menu. Go ahead and go to your settings and then click on Gift Redemption. That's where you have to go in order to add your code. And the third and final code for the night, as we jump into our last topic, is Bumper. 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 So go ahead and get in your code of Bumper. So
I wonder where they got that code from.
Bumper, I hardly knew her. Okay.
I gotta tell you, McV. So what was the second one? Burger.
Burger.
So I have a feeling that your little slip up of like, welcome to the burger, ended up being
both of these.
I don't know what she just said, and they probably just snipped that part of the video, and they probably guessed burger or bumper.
Yep.
Welcome to the burger.
Welcome to the bumper.
RSG Burger.
We got a great show for you tonight.
So there you go.
Next week, one of the codes is going to be Barker.
So
for sure.
If you guys want to see the other codes, you have to go back and watch it in the stream. I'm just throwing that out there. Delete gave you the second one, but there was a first one, so you guys have to go back and watch it in the stream. So there's been 3 codes. I'll leave this one up for a little bit, but I will take it off shortly. We're going to talk about the last thing, which are just our general thoughts of things in game and some of the newer stuff, of course, and any thoughts or feedback that we have on those particular things.
Well, I have a question for Delete. Is Ray worth it? If I could unlock Ray, is he worth it?
No.
Okay.
Especially not now in our state. It's so old. Like it's old enough that Ray is not useful.
I didn't think he was.
Yeah. He would have been earlier, but not now.
Yeah. I was like, So.
Ray, I got him purely because he looked cool. Yeah. And I was just like, wow, this dude, he's got a damn Rolex, looks legit. And then I found out that he was weak as F. His stats are his stats just aren't there. And we're already at the point where we have Zoe in 359, right? Yeah, we've got Zoe in 359.
Yeah, we're on Gen 3 right now.
Yeah. So right now it's got to be, Maddie, Zoe, or not Maddie, Jesus, Zoe, Ash, and Miho.
Miho, yeah.
That's those
Miho,
are the
those are
truth.
three I'm going for and working slowly toward. Like Zoe, I've been really impressed with, but I was looking at him like, what? Why is he last? Is he awesome? I thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, that was, in the beginning, it was like if you were a mega whale and you got to VIP 12, which even at that point, like in the first 60 days, if you got to VIP 12 and you got Ray and Rolex, he had some value because his settlement defense was pretty strong. So if you took a tower, you could kind of put him in there. And I remember our first or second capital, I used him and I won with him, but besides that, he's kind of gone, just thrown by the wayside, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
It's like when we first started 359, you can always tell like the new to the game, but they're good at games, but they're new to the game and they're spenders because they just like maxed Lucky out like right off the bat, like, and we were just like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Trust me, there's going to be so many more you want to spend your money on. But in most games like this, the ones that are the paywall locked are going to be the really good players. So, I mean, it makes sense that you would spend on that, but it's not the way this one works.
Yeah.
Like Lucky's good, but she's not the best.
She's good early on, and that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
Then she fades out because there's other gen of characters that have better stats and just not
better
worth
very
it.
quickly. Yeah, she's very quickly replaced. Very quickly replaced.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that you guys see in game and any improvements that you guys would see. I will say, Trap is quickly becoming one of my favorite things in this game. Just straight up chaos trap. Just have everybody set. Everybody just send their rallies. I don't care what the hell happens. Just for 30 minutes, I am just joining and then waiting for the rally and setting and just over and over and over again. It is so much fun just for the pure ridiculousness of it. I love it. And I love Trap.
You know what's funny about that?
The Daytona 500. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So 359 is fun. In 125, the last trap we had, I booted someone.
What?
I straight up booted someone for Nikki because Nikki was losing her effing mind over Trap because people weren't setting. So the way we had it set up in 125 is everyone should set one rally and then join with their others.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's people that are wanting to join as many as they possibly can. And so that one rally that they set ties up their one march for 2.5 minutes longer. So they're just joining and joining and joining. And so they're racking up their points higher. And Nikki was just like, oh my God.
So that's actually wrong. So there's actually a bug in the game. I don't know if it's a bug or if it's intended, but your set does not count towards the marches that you have available. So you can have 5 marches and you can have one set and 5 joins. So actually not setting reduces your ability to get more points because you're missing out on a completely free set.
Well, and they didn't realize that, but honestly, that I'm thinking that bug's going to be fixed too. I think
don't know. I kind of like it.
I mean, I love the bug. No, it's great.
I don't know if it's a bug or not. We assume it's a bug, right? But
wait a minute. Letty says it's not a bug.
I don't think it's a bug.
She said, I guess she doesn't think it's a bug.
Because there's one thing different about it, right? If you look in your your list on the left side, the rally is orange. Yeah, the rally is orange that you're setting, and everything else is green. You don't get that when you set rallies in Infected. It's not like a common rally thing. It's only in Trap. So I think it's not a bug. I think they did it intentionally, and I love it. I really love
it. It was funny.
It's sad that
there was people. Nikki kept calling out names, going, "Set. You need to set. You need to set. You're just joining." And Nikki was just not able to. She can't enjoy the game because she's too busy monitoring everybody and making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do.
She's costing herself points.
Yes.
By doing
and I got tired of watching her screaming at people like. Somebody listened to her, and that's the problem. Is she's she's very forceful and she wants everybody to do their job, but she doesn't want to kick anybody out because she doesn't want to hurt people's feelings, or you know, she's a good girl. And I'm just like, I'll be the bad one. I don't care. Boot. Next time I see Nikki have to say somebody's name twice, you're getting a boot. And Nikki's
For
just,
those of you that don't know, McVenom is my right hand of justice, and Nikki is my left.
it's really what it is.
Meanwhile, in 359, I started Horde 3 minutes before the end of Trap, and Nikki was losing her mind there too.
Yeah, Nikki was losing her mind.
I said I was going to start it at that time, but I like started at like 3 minutes. I'm like, I know that the troops are coming back, so I'm like, I'm gonna start. I'm just like, everyone, it's chaos time, and I started Horde.
She straight up logged out too. Not too much long after she was done. She was done with your shenanigans for the night.
I am all about
funny.
shenanigans in 359. That's what I do. That poor Nikki can't handle it. I am a crazy person. I'm 100% a crazy
No, Nikki just likes things to run. I mean,
She
especially
does.
in 125.
She's a good officer.
Everyone should know what to do.
Mhm.
And she just gets bothered that there are still people out there that don't know what to do. Like
Mhm.
our state is 275 days old, and people are just like, oh, I'm just not going to read chat and just do whatever I want. And she does not deal with that well.
You don't hate me, Nikki. Nikki says I hate you. She doesn't hate. That H stands for heart. I know. You say I heart you. I heart you too, Nikki.
Aww.
I love Nikki.
Aww.
Nikki's so much fun. It's just I am complete chaos. It is I can't say any other way. McVenom knows this. I am complete chaos.
Yeah,
It
it's
is-
just shenanigans. You just got to expect shenanigans with him. What were we talking about with the trap? Are you talking about like alliance organization for the trap
No.
or
Now
just
we're
in
just
general, how do
off
we
topic
like it?
now. Now we're going to the final, which is just general updates for the game. It's not necessarily tied to
Okay.
alliance management. So we're just talking about different things that could be just better about the game, right? And the reason I bring up trap is because to me, one of the biggest improvements would be to Horde, right? Horde for 2 hours is maybe one of the most boring events in the game, right? I would much rather them have a like 30-minute Horde with 10 waves every 3 minutes, right? But instead, what they do is just have a bunch of the fiends that will have troops being sent out, and everyone can set 1 minute rallies to try and beat the fiends before they send the troops, and you kill like 25 or 35% of them, and then you have to defend everyone else. I think that would be a whole lot more fun, just taking the concept from Trap and just implementing it with a better Horde. 10 waves, 3 minutes apart, 1 minute rallies, try to kill the fiends before they send out their troops. That would be my suggestion. I think that would be a whole lot more fun than what currently Trap is. Because right now, Trap is just a bore, right? I don't know. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts of traps or
Trap? You mean trap or Horde?
Horde. Sorry, Horde
Yeah.
is a bore.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yes,
Horde.
Horde. I used to really enjoy Horde because I used to like the challenge of trying to like, you know, just
Steal
get
everybody else's points.
Yeah, steal people's
Yeah.
points.
That's what
I
it
mean,
is.
just mainly still deletes points, but it is really, there is a long amount of time in between each wave. And if you don't have a lot of people on, it doesn't seem as exciting because the chat's not like super, super full and just everybody doing other things. I don't know. It is getting kind of mean.
2 hours is too long for an event, right?
Yeah.
For like
It really
this.
is.
Horde should be random every wave. Every wave should be random, and you should be able to kind of like go ahead and just force people to be on. Because right now for Horde, I send my troops to HQ and I go, peace. Anyone else need troops? I'll go ahead and put them in right now. Say it up. Say it once. Say it.
I think random would be good. Or you know what I think would be good is if you actually designed with an alliance where who would steal the most points. Like, you know, you get more points for like getting inside someone else's base. And that would create a dynamic of we're playing a game between each other of just like who can steal the most points. And it wouldn't be really stealing, but you know, make it fun in that way. I think that would be fun.
I can say happily that I got into the top 10 of Horde one time, and I will remember it forever.
Because you're the one that stays there forever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Stay
Well,
on the
no,
whole
I was
time.
reinforcing a lot of people, and at the very end, I was 11, right? But there was the bases that were really far away, so I literally advanced relocated to and then reinforced. You know the funny part about that? Nero had already reinforced those, I think, earlier. So I go to reinforce, and there's already troops, and I'm like, wait, whose troops already in this? That's like a 30-minute march away, and there's Nero's troops just sitting in there. I'm like, okay, Nero already scouted these out, and you like, yeah, I'm gonna reinforce these because it's just gonna work. And meanwhile, I'm like advanced relocating between two bases. I use like 5 advanced relocators, but I got on that top 10 list. That is all that matters. I got on that
In
top 10
359,
list.
it would have been cheaper. It would have been cheaper for you to literally to just speed the marches and just use caps that way.
Yeah.
No,
it really
I
would.
need my caps. I can use alliance tokens in order to get the advanced relocators. I'm not spending
that's
bios.
true.
I'm not spending. At one point, I had like 32 advanced relocators in 359.
Whoa.
I used a bunch in one of the reservoir raids a little while ago, like the one when I was driving and I only had the one thing and I just had to follow around the big guy.
Worthless.
I'm just like, I started porting around, and at one point I used like 3 advanced relocators for one of them. I'm just like, I don't care. Just went behind the guy and started attacking his ally. I'm like, yeah, this is all I can do right now while I'm driving. So it was so much fun. But yeah, that was a fun horde. But in general, what else do you guys see that could use improvement? I think horde is the biggest thing for me.
You know when it's just something I noticed. You know when you're going ahead and you're clicking on other people's bases to help out their speeding of their troops, there's a little guy, a little face in the bottom right-hand corner that tells you how many you have left.
Yeah.
That wasn't always there. I felt like that just got there like 3 days ago.
It has been there at least since I have been playing.
Maybe you didn't
No
know it till
way.
now.
I'm pretty sure it's been
125.
there the entire time I've been playing, because I look at that little guy
Yeah,
all the
delete,
time.
not paying attention.
I
In
mean,
125, it was not there all the
Maybe
time.
they added
I
it
think
in the
you
new
might
states.
be right.
Maybe they added it in the new. It might have been with the new states the entire time.
It's been there longer than a couple days. Delete. It really has.
No.
But
Well,
I
Delete
think
World
it
is
was with
time
a fairly recent update.
Oh, I use mine. Here, I'll show
Update.
you guys. Hold on. Let me switch to my alt really quick. And I can show you guys. But when you go into a base, the orange icon that tells you that somebody has troops.
Edgar Q. Wait. I have to address something real quick. Edgar Q said free-to-play players are farm accounts. Changed my mind. Go attack Finn.
He might burn me. I'm still not.
Not in our state. Like, it would be, honestly, you are doing extremely well for a free-to-play. You're at 30 now, right?
Yeah, I'm one upgrade away from
You're at
Plasma
Castle
1.
30, where we have spenders that are still hanging around 26 and 27.
Yeah. No, I'm one
Like-
upgrade away from Plasma 1. I'm on the 3rd one, so I have one more to go after this one. And
Okay.
that'll be Plasma 1.
Keep going. Continue. I'm sorry. I had
No,
to
no.
address that.
But no,
See?
I'm
Fury's
aware
never
of
seen
I'm aware of where I am, right? So we mentioned this before. I know what a free to play is in this game, right? I can build my buildings and all that. I can get the troops. My stats are always going to be lower, right?
Yeah.
I'm just not going to be able to compete in the chief gear. So that's going to be my biggest problem. But I'm in an alliance with people that have the chief gear. So if they give me one reinforcement, now my troops get boosted. So it's not, it depends how the free-to-play play and how the alliance plays, right? Like, I know well enough at this point that it's just not, yeah, I'm free-to-play, I'm screwed. It's just, I can't lead a rally. I'm not going to be the one leading a rally. You give me a reinforcement, my base gets popped up. So it's not all free-to-play, but it is going to be different based on kind of how the free-to-play plays. I'm also a little probably more overly intense than a lot of free-to-play. Like, free-to-play doesn't necessarily mean casual. I'm a little addicted.
You think?
Yeah.
Vampire?
I'm a little. Yeah, I know. Load harder. Hush.
I've never seen the load screen take that long. Finn.
It's because I know why it is. Hold on. It's because I have stuff running in the back, and it's making it take longer.
Don't ask what it is.
I literally am just staring at it. I'm like, oh my.
I know.
Whoa.
Kind of looks like
I don't know,
McMillan's load screen.
what else would I want them to change? I would like to make the change where I never have to speak to another group ever again. Oh, wait. That's impossible.
Jesus. In fact, if I never have to talk to anybody ever in this game again, I'd be just happy with it.
Good old Delete. We're just spending all this time talking about communication, and Delete wants to be the exact
Just craft
opposite.
all over that.
Dude, somebody from 359 just shared a code in state chat. They're on the list. You're on the list, man.
Listen, McVenom sees all. If you mess up, you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're on it.
You're about to catch that heat.
About to.
Yep. Go. Go's in trouble. Go, if you are listening, McVenom is angry. That's all I gotta say. McVenom is angry.
Yeah, because if they share it, they don't listen to the whole thing and say, they don't listen where we say don't share the codes because it's for the viewers.
Mm-hmm. All right. So if you guys see kind of in the game screen here, you see the little yellow guy that's here. But when you go into the gameplay, in the bottom right corner, that guy, not orange, he's like white, he's there, and he tells you how many left you have of troop speed ups. So right now I have 6. I can click on 1. I'm down to 5. And then there's 1, and then 4, and now I'm down to 3. So you can go into a base and see how many you have left. In 359, this has been here, I think, pretty much since I started playing. I don't know if it's been there in the older states. In the newer states, though, it's been there for a long time. Because I use that little guy all the time.
I always knew it was 6. It was like, oh, now I've got to click into, because there was that time when it was only letting you click on 1, you know, and then sometimes you walk into somebody or you step into somebody's base and it looks like they're only building one type of troop, which is a glitch. So you'd have to click in like different all over the place, and I'd be like, man, you know, I always knew it was 6, but it was like, now it shows you that it's 6. Huh, look at that.
Yeah.
That's
science.
That's new. Reservoir League, I would like for them to restart Reservoir League, because we played Reservoir League and it glitched out so hard.
Oh, yeah.
We were not able to chat. The game score I had on my screen was completely incorrect. We were winning on my screen and we were actually losing in real life, which was really fun.
We couldn't see any of your comments. You couldn't chat. You were trying to give direction.
I'm like, hey guys, I'm starting to feel really lonely in here. I took a screenshot and I'm like, why am I the only one talking? I was like, what's going on? And they were like, we didn't see any of that. And I was like, wow, well, at least we're winning. And they were like, no, we're losing.
I thought you didn't want to talk to anybody, Delete. So why was being Ronery such a big deal?
In my own alliance, I love to talk to my alliance.
That's not what you said before, buddy. You said if you could talk, didn't talk to anybody.
There is a specific group of people that just, if I just never had contact with them again, my life would be so much richer.
He doesn't want to say it, but I will say it for him. It starts with R and ends with SG.
Do not. We do not.
He would not talk to McVenom or I ever again if he had the choice. That's basically what it is.
Or give them kudos for expert trolling and being the best collection of a-holes ever collected on this earth.
No, never say anything like that. Delete would never say anything like that.
No.
But yeah, no. So Reservoir League was so screwed up. It was like I was trying to click on Gathering and that was broken. The whole thing was broken. So like, you know, and this was like a really important thing and a brand new event. Everyone's super excited about it and it was broken. It was like they didn't give out a like reward and be like, hey, sorry, so many of you had issues. You know, there was like none of that. It was just like, what? You know, so that was just really disheartening. Unfortunately, they should just restart it. You know, I mean, win, lose, have the same matchups, whatever the case may be, who knows? But the way it is right now, we're down 0-1. And it looks like we'll get out of our group because we're pretty strong. But, you know, it was totally, totally disappointing.
All right. McVenom, anything that you see that you would like to see kind of improved or update? Maybe something more recent or just in general?
Well, I'm still like, I think the biggest thing that I would want personally is some, you know, the marketplace, the market stall or what was the name of it? That was no, but it's supposed to be where we could trade resources or trade items or exchange items with our alliance members and stuff like that.
Like an alliance market.
Yeah, I mean, it's the function's in there and it's been in there and it always says coming soon. So I would like to see something happen with that. I don't necessarily know if it's going to really improve a whole lot of our gameplay, but I really think it would just be one more thing to keep alliances stronger and tighter and like to help each other out more. And then of course, just state merges or whatever they're going to do with that. I think Delete really recognized it today, just how badly some of us are trapped in a place that we can't stand playing in, but we love the game. But we're like, and we don't want to start all over again or don't have the option to start all over again for some people that have put a whole lot of money into it. So it's basically the longer they wait on this, and I know that they're trying to market it or test it and get it right. And I want them to get it right, but at the same time, should be their top priority because the longer they wait on it, the more people like Delete and heavy spenders, heavy game promoters, heavy community content and community engaged players, they're going to lose some of those and they're going to move on to another game where they can have a lot of fun and have learned from an experience in State of Survival. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you would be different. You would play a different game in another game because of the experiences we've had here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I blame him.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you just some stuff you just don't want to deal with. You want to play a game. You know what I mean? You want to play a game, and unfortunately, there's just certain people that are just absolutely dead set on making it more than a game. And it's just like, why? Like, what are we even doing here? Like, is this makes the getting talked to in certain respects and just having to deal with certain things outside of the game that you're just forced to in order to play the game well is so disappointing. It just is.
Yeah, talking about alliance management, when you're playing a game for fun, that like Grande said earlier, that should be for enjoyment and entertainment, and it has turned into a job, and not just a job, because everybody that's in leadership and in R4 spots, it is kind of a job, but it's still a job of people that you like, right? You're doing a job for people that you enjoy playing with and stuff. But when it gets to a point where it's a job that you hate and you're only doing it because number one, you've spent money and you don't want to walk away from that money. And number two, you feel responsible for the other people that are miserably stuck there as well. That is not fun anymore. It sucks the fun out of it. So there needs to be a way where they can take people that are still want to play the game, but that can actually find fun again in it, whether it be in another state or they merge states to make it a whole group of people that can kind of dilute the atmosphere a bit. I think they really need to focus on that because it's, like, look at the difference between Delete and I. Delete comes in and he has to deal with that stuff every day. And I go in and I'm just like, peace out. I'm done. I'll leave the Discord server. I don't want to talk to them. And I go to 359 and have a great time. We have so much fun in 359 because we don't have to deal with that drama. Now, granted, it could have been we went to 359 and it was a crappy state, but we got lucky. And it sucks that Delete's kind of trapped on a state where it is just like nonstop drama and jerk faces all the time.
Yeah. I do want to say, because I forgot to do it earlier, that there are people that contribute to my knowledge of this game, and I talk to in the game a lot from other states, and I appreciate them. And I got to give one a shout out because they hooked me up today right before the show started. And it was Jeremy123. Dude, you're my guy. I will go ahead and give you the minute that I said this in chat so you can go and hit it up, even though you're going to watch anyway. So that was something I wanted to say.
Our Jeremy in 359?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's in 359, but I think he's actually 123, which is why he had Jeremy 123, if I remember.
So,
correctly.
Interesting story. Jeremy and I are from the same exact town.
Because he was talking about that turkey chonga or whatever.
I was talking about the turkey chonga, and he was like, dude, I'm from your town. That he's the first person in any game I've ever played that was from the same exact.
In fact, I'm looking
game.
at you right now, and you're like, "Oh my god!"
Exactly.
No, that's
I
Durgan.
love your sweater. What?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's Durgan. That's Durgan.
Jeremy, be nice. Don't kill me, please.
Yeah.
Don't be like a serial killer.
Never. He would never.
He's great though. He's a great guy. He's a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's
You're right.
cool. He's
Yeah.
cool.
Okay. So we
Alright.
are well over time here.
Just a little bit, but that's okay.
We do that.
Yeah, I know, but McVenom is here, and we kind of have to showcase the
It's my
blue-haired
first one
goddess.
back. It's my
It is.
first one back.
Mm-hmm.
It
My
is.
whole
I
1 week
couldn't
off.
miss it. I was rushing home and I was like, I gotta get on.
What were
Delete
you
back.
doing, McVenom?
I want to make McVenom bigger here.
So, I have a event barn.
Yes.
We can't have big events, but we are holding like
What? What?
No, we're not holding a big event, dude. It's a 50th wedding anniversary, tiny little like 10 party like little anniversary,
Oh,
and
okay,
I needed
okay.
to decorate the barn and get it all set up for them because it's like a little Christmas. They
Aw.
couldn't have a big thing, so I wanted to make it as nice and beautiful as I could. So we had to put out the Christmas tree and do the table decorations and all that stuff for them. So I was doing that.
That's
Yeah.
Oh,
sweet.
that's really nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. 50 years is something to be celebrated, I'm gonna tell you. Like in this day and age is really big. And they were actually just the sweetest couple. So that's what I was doing. But I'm glad I made it back.
So cool. So cool.
And she's wearing blue on blue.
I am. Well, this is honestly, I'm still in my scrubs. This is like the undershirt that I wear under my scrubs because it's so cold in the chemo
Wow.
areas.
Well, it's still blue, so I mean, it
Yeah.
works out.
It works. I went back to the
Could have
blue
fooled
hair.
me. I was like, whoa, look at that. Wearing like silk blouses.
Well, this is the only time you'll catch me in
Oh,
Carolina blue because I'm actually a Duke fan, but
Oh, you've betrayed.
it just matched my hair so good I couldn't resist.
Mm-hmm. Duke
All
on the
Yeah, no, this is a really good stream. I think we everyone, just to kind of summarize, listening and just like controlling your emotions and making sure you trust the people that are in your alliance, and just like everything in law, especially in 125, is all about we go for good people first, not good accounts. That's a big thing. Finding like-minded people that kind of control your alliance will definitely help your gameplay. It will definitely help you continue playing this game, because there's one thing that I will tell you is you can feel mighty lonely in this game if you don't have the right people around you to bounce ideas off of you or even grow as an account. So if you like the game, make sure you're around people that like the game too.
And that is what we do here at the Burger. We want everyone
Burger.
here. We want everyone here
Right in that burger
and having
box,
fun
it's
talking
pretty.
about the game, good and bad, right? And I've seen a lot of the stuff that you guys have been typing in chat, and we don't expect everything to be perfect whenever you guys play this game, right? It happens in every game. There's always some kind of drama, but the idea is that we're all adults, we find a way to get through it, and we use each other as a community to bounce ideas off of each other, vent, whatever it is. So we appreciate all of you that are here that have spent your Friday evening joining the best zombie talk anywhere on YouTube. So we appreciate all of you guys. I'll let McVenom, because this is her stream. I am only
You're hosting it tonight.
I'm only guest hosting. This is your stream, McVenom.
Do it.
So
Do it, Finn. Sign us out.
It's shake and bake.
all
And she
right,
helped.
you sure you want me to sign out?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So
You did a great
everyone,
job.
thank you so much for joining us on this. I hope you guys have a great night. Are we doing anything in VC after, or is it too late?
Yeah.
I can't.
I'll
I
hop
can't.
over.
I got.
Okay.
I got another stream to do, so I can't.
That's fine. So some of us will be heading into the VC in Discord. So head down there in the State of Survival and join us for a little recap at the end if you guys want to just hang out. And who knows? I see Letty in chat, the most sus person anywhere in SOS.
What are you talking
And
about?
she
sus.
is,
Most
and I am
sus.
sure she is getting ready to try and get us to play Among Us.
It's sus
so-
that you would say
Silence
she's
assassin.
sus.
So make sure you guys head over to the Discord and head into the VC. And 2 things to end this on. 1, if the zombies are rockin', RSG is here with the butt sockin'. And last one, rock
Jesus.
on Alan.